hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 98. My name is Red. I'm joined by Mel.
It was so nice, the creators of Leo 50 years ago, to tee up our Golden Kamuy pod in 2 weeks with this batch of episodes.
With the special Hokkaido episode? Yes.
the three in a row Hokkaido episodes.
It's Hokkaido week here on Ultra Q.
The Hokkaido week bonanza nestled into specifically the horror series, which increasingly stopped feeling like a horror series.
Which Hokkaido, known for being snowy, so you will find that it is much like that one episode title. It is like a spooky, snowy horror series.
It's Hokkaido's Haunted, apparently.
Hokkaido's Haunted. Also joined by Brad.
And what haunts me is that in all the faces of all the bears in Ultraman Leo episode 20, I discover no kinship, no understanding, no mercy. I see only the overwhelming indifference of nature. To me, there is no such thing as a secret world of the bears, and this blank stare speaks only of a half-bored interest in food. But for Alien Buck, this bear was a friend, a savior.
Damn.
Hello, William Attenborough.
That was Herzog, thank you very much. But
I assume that was your actual poll, but it sounded leaning British, and so I was like, well, who does nature documentaries? British.
Yeah. Good old David and his brother, who directed
why did I say William?
Bridge Too
It's
Far.
definitely David.
I don't know why you said William.
For whatever reason, I was just like, William, I know this is wrong, however, I'm going to just stick
It's the
with it.
third Attenborough brother. He's, like, unimpressive.
I make
like,
YouTube videos.
He's like,
William
you guys can call me Bill now.
He's Bill Attenborough.
He's putting on, like, a sideways baseball cap to try and...
A member of my family, my dad, has turned anti-Attenborough.
Wait, what happened?
He's decided he doesn't like David Attenborough. He's sick of him. He's like, sometimes David Attenborough... Well, you know that tweet about how David Attenborough doesn't like crabs?
No.
Okay.
Not
Hang
at
on.
all.
Let me find the fucking... tweet David Attenborough crabs. Let me find this tweet. Is that Attenborough has no respect for crabs, always gives them ridiculous music. They are jesters to him. Now, my dad is having those kinds of opinions about David Attenborough. He's like, oh, David Attenborough puts on a stupid voice when he's doing voiceovers for like children, for like juvenile animals. And he's always going like, oh, where's mum? And he hates it. He's decided he doesn't like David. He thinks David Attenborough's done now. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he's doing he's on dinosaur duty now, so he's washed.
Yeah. Dinosaurs means you're washed. You're not doing... You're doing nature that's not there anymore, that's kind of like... half of it's a bit made up.
Yeah, you gotta do interpretive work.
Yeah. You might as well be doing Prehistoric Park at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was about to say, fucking, have you seen Jurassic Park coming out? Spielberg's cooked.
Listen. I just think, you know what? It would be funny. More shows should have Nigel Marven running from dinosaurs going flipping hell.
It's really good. It's really good. Oh man, it's so good. Anyway,
definitely a comment for like maybe 1% of our audience at best.
Yeah, you should watch Prehistoric Park.
True, we should watch Prehistoric Park.
This week,
anyway,
we have the continuation of the sort of the retool of Ultraman Leo. I believe this is the end of the retool,
yes.
And next week we will be back to normal. Back to something.
Something
will
new.
happen. Okay.
I will say that, you know, they're still it's not like they haven't dispensed with the Leoisms.
Yes, there are still Leoisms, and this week I am more up on one. This show is We're So Back, It's Over. For me at the minute, we're alternating. This week I'm like, yeah, this show's good.
Yeah.
But before we get to any of that, we've got other shit. I've got one thing that I want to talk about, but I don't know if I know Brad was trying to reread it.
Oh, let me tell you, I read it all in one sitting yesterday.
Nice. Yeah, so I read Dune Messiah. That was a very quick read.
Nice.
It is. So much so you can do it in one sitting.
Yeah. I had a good time with Dune Messiah. I quite like it. It's good.
On a reread, and perhaps maybe, again, one sitting, might come away with a different experience. I don't know if I'd still say that's one of my favorite science fiction books, but goddamn, I really like Dune Messiah a lot.
I'm like, there's bits of it where I'm like extremely like the narrative that I have been sold about Dune Messiah is that Frank Herbert got big mad that no one got Dune, and then he wrote Dune Messiah to be like, you're all dumb motherfuckers, I'm gonna make this really clear for you. And I got Dune. I got what he was going for.
The thing is, I don't actually think that's necessarily true.
Yeah, so like I'm not completely sure on this narrative, but this is the narrative that people like to say about Dune Messiah.
Because I think he was like already like, this was originally going to be like the coda of the original book before it just got too big.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Is
he was
like,
just
I've heard both, where it's like this was
like, they were both
the original ending, and also something he wrote because he got big mad people didn't get it. So
because Dune Messiah was because like Dune and Dune Messiah were originally published serialized.
Yeah, and also the original Dune is 3 different novels. It's like those parts were released as 3 different serialized novels in a row. So like thinking of this as the 4th part of that that's kind of how I approached this, as like this is the 4th entry in this series.
Yeah. That's what I think makes more sense to me. Like it feels like the timeline doesn't line up for it to be more of a response, unless, well, I guess if it is serialized, maybe that does lead to some degree of it. But I'm pretty sure like my assumption he was like publishing Messiah chapters before I don't know. Actually, I have to check publication history, but I just think the timeline doesn't necessarily line up. So
the thing that struck me first of all about Dune Messiah is that it's very much mirroring that first part of Dune with the downfall of the Atreides, as like Paul comes to slide into the role of Leto.
And something I love about that too is like every time Paul and Mohiam like have like a little spat in that last bit, it's like, it's almost like a weird mirror of all of their early meetings right at the beginning of the first book. It's so good.
Oh, there's a weird thing I saw on Wikipedia just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Publication history. Parts of Dune Messiah, parentheses, and its sequel, Children of Dune, close parentheses, were written prior to the completion of Dune itself.
Okay. Well, okay. That makes a little sense in terms of like if you've got like a broad plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing, yeah, there's like scenes like there's a scene where Dune Paul. Can Dune? Why can't Dune crawl? Paul is like, there's a conversation happening in the room, and Paul doesn't understand the hidden meaning of the conversation. He's like, what are they talking about? And it reminded me so much of that dinner scene where Leto is like sat at the head of the table looking at Paul and Jessica, perceiving things he can't, and going, what the fuck is happening? I'm completely alone. I don't have anything. And I quite liked this. I haven't. Oh, hang on. I need to put on this. Turn this switch on. I just realized my laptop wasn't on charge. I have a weird kind of... I don't know how they're gonna make this movie, because this book sort of requires that you have a slightly more sympathetic... that Paul is a slightly sympathetic character, which I think they kind of undermine that in the movies for the sake of clarity of what the story's about.
They do add just a lot of the shit that I feel like Messiah's hitting, like, I mean, it was always there, kind of like you said, like, as the Dune understanders. I do feel like they maybe put a little too much Dune Messiah energy into Dune Part 2.
Yeah, that's probably true.
The whole, with like Paul... Yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say there's also, like, weird additions, like the... Like, just like, oh, we cleanly divided the Fremen into, like, the moderates.
Oh, yes.
And the fundamentalists.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. That whole... Yeah, the thing... First of all, if you're intending to make the movie Dune Messiah, I don't know how you make a movie where Chani walks away from Paul at the end of Dune Part 2. I don't know why you do that. I wouldn't have. But yeah, there's kind
she
of...
She still needs to have the children of Dune.
She still needs to have the children of Dune. But yeah, there's like this whole thing where it's like this tragedy about like Paul, this being like the final culmination of Paul being stuck at the whims of much longer historical trends. And just, he's materialism, right? The great man theory isn't real. Which seems like a weird conclusion to come to within the book's Dune, but I think it's true. I think it's true in Dune. I think great man theory isn't real. I think everything about Paul supports this a little in terms of like, the history is so long and like the tides of it. It's like he's at the apex of this whole trend.
Yeah. I think this is how you know that Herbert believes great man theory isn't real, because he's like, in order to have a great man affect history, he has to invent a guy who lives for 10,000 years.
Yes. That's
That's
how you do it.
There's all this stuff too with, I'm already forgetting, like his fake like head bishop sage guy. Korba, where like he points out in conversations with Korba, like it kind of doesn't matter at a point what he does anymore, because he could just die and the idea of him lives on, and you can just kind of twist that into whatever direction you want that religion to go, and like they'll just keep going at it, like I do him himself doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah. I do also think think again back to like the movie, because you mentioned like they put a little too much Messiah into also just like do things that seem weird if you're gonna do Messiah, like I think I remember distinctly like one of the earlier bits, like I think maybe like the quote-unquote cold open, the prologue of Messiah is Stilgar just kind of being like, oh damn, I don't know about this, how we may have gone a bit too far with this worshipping of Paul guys, maybe to himself.
Lol.
When like in the meme that came out of the movie is he's like, one of the most fanatical guys
devout,
for Paul.
Yeah.
The Lisan Galway.
Stilgar in Messiah is so good. Like every time I'm Stilgar's in the scene, I'm like, this is great. He's like okay. So I do think the kind of conspiracy kind of peters out at the end. That is which Paul defeats it, which is that's the thing. But it's kind of it's a bit of a letdown. But it is what it is. That's how books go sometimes. But I really did like the scene where I don't know how they pronounce his name in the audiobook. Me and Brad doing that fucking the YouTube short, the fucking audiobook listeners and people who read the book with their eyes coming together, because I have a trade to propose. I don't know how Cytail's
I've always said Cytail. I don't even know if that's right off the top of my head. I think
Cytail sounds about right to me, based off my memory.
Cytail has that meeting with a guy who was in the jihad, right?
Yes, I love the scene.
His thing where it's like, I saw the sea and I bathed in it. And
it washed away the jihad.
It washed away the jihad. Like, okay, you got baptized and it washed away the jihad is kind of a crazy symbolism. But the whole thing here where it's like the way that it talks about like other people seeing him and understanding that he couldn't do this anymore. I found very compelling. I think I also find the idea compelling that once Paul had lost his eyes, he was so bound to his vision. He couldn't tinker with it anymore, because if he couldn't stray from it, because this was now how he saw.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of that one Ultraman Leo episode.
This is the opposite. This is the shit that I think puts Messiah above the original for me. Is I absolutely adore all of the philosophizing on fate and what is destined and how seeing the future impacts.
Oh, like a golden wind.
Sure. I suppose.
It's your favorite JoJo part.
So true.
Vento Daurio.
Yeah, don't you like the thing at the end with the rock?
Yeah, what if I wrote a chapter that was like, oh, actually everyone who died knew that they were gonna die, I just didn't say it until now. It's so sad, actually. Oh my god. I need to write out Paul from the series because I don't know what to do with him anymore. Haha. No. Herbert did not do that. Araki would though. And did. But no, I love the stuff with all the prescience. I love the detail that the conspirators seem to have popularized a form of tarot on the planet Dune because it muddies Paul's ability to see his surroundings. And also just in general, like, I do agree with you. I think the conspiracy kind of it kind of falls apart a little bit towards the end. I think part of that is because they really fucking wanted to get Duncan, Idaho.
Idaho!
There he is.
One of my favorite fucking parts of this podcast still, I can't remember what episode, is when Mel drops the fact that I probably should have known but didn't, that Duncan, Idaho is throughout all 6 books.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I didn't think he'd be sticking around that long.
It's so funny.
But I do.
Jason Momoa announced returning for Dune Messiah.
True.
He has a long career ahead of him.
I like the conspirators better than the Harkonnens, I feel. Just because I think they have a little bit more going on.
I just think.
Oh, what, you don't think ontologically evil clan is with me
bullying myself into exercising lest I get a Frank Herbert description written about me and my habits.
I simply think that the destined husband and wife eugenics partnership that got fucked up by both of them being men is like crazy sauce that Frank Herbert should never have been able to find. But I like. I don't.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, the Baron is something. All right.
Oh, the Baron is the Baron. The Baron is the Baron. The Baron is
Fade is cool. I do like Fade, but
it's not like we're like out of that necessarily. Like we don't have fat stuff, but we have like a lot of like the discussions about that guy in the tank, the steersman, Edric, and how his weird wriggle, his weird body, and it was that's Frank Herbert being Frank Herbert. I don't. I'm not like super high on the conspiracy necessarily. I was hyped for it at first. I was like, oh, this is sick. I like Duncan Idaho. But I felt like it didn't.
Oh, it's a good thing I like him.
It's good thing I like him. He's sticking around. I don't know. There continues to be a part of me where I'm like, I get this is like the next step to like the rest of the story, but like, there's a lot in here that I'm like, yeah, I read Dune.
Yeah.
Quest voice, I knew all that.
Quest voice, absolutely. But I liked it. I like the
I like you're liking it to like a the Shakespeare tragedy. Like, oh, it's cashing this check that you knew was coming.
Paul is. I like Paul. And again, I think with what you've already got in the movies, with how active a role Paul and Jessica take in, like they're so enthusiastic about using the Fremen in a way that they're not in the book. In a way that in the book, Paul, like, it's about how they're trapped, and it's like they have to use the Fremen or die. Whereas in the movie, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get the water of life, and I'm gonna do this. And in the book, it's like, I'm getting the water of life because Gurney Halleck tried to kill my mum, and I had no idea that was gonna happen. This is fucking crazy. I can't let shit like that happen again.
It is funny that for like every character, in the first book, I kind of like see them as their new movie self. Except for Gurney Halleck, who I keep seeing as Patrick Stewart.
Absolutely. That's just how it is. I did get to the bit in this book where they describe Duncan Idaho as having epicanthic folds, and I was like, well, hang on, I didn't know that.
Shoutouts to the scene where Chani is like. Oh, also too, speaking of audiobook shit, something that will, because...
Oh no. Accents.
So, no, it's not that. It's more mundane, but equally silly. So, I may have listened to all of Dune in the lead up to reading all of Dune Messiah yesterday, because I
Holy shit.
Well, guess what? I get really sensitive, like weather, like pressure-based headaches, thus my absence last week. I may have been mostly lying around while not working this week with horrible headaches, and I was like, fuck it, I can't like watch anything right now, I'm just gonna listen to Dune. And then turns out you spend more time in bed listening to Dune than you maybe expect, and it's like, well, fuck it, I guess I just listened to all of Dune. But they don't say Chani, they say Chaney, which makes it so much harder to take it seriously.
That's funny.
But
I do think it's funny that for my own purposes, I was like looking back at the audiobooks, and I was like, oh, that first audiobook is like 21 hours. How long is that? And then I just compared it to like a TV show. I was like, oh, that's 50 episodes.
It's long. It's long. They read slowly. They read dramatically.
The other Chani thing that I adore in Messiah, which I will say, I do think she kind of gets done dirty in Messiah compared to I mean, it's not like the first book is especially great towards her, but I feel like she gets more to do. That second book, she's basically there to be sad about not having babies and then die having babies. But
I think I've got a little more. I'm like the kind of like the political role that she serves, and like her like opinions on it. She's like getting into like fights with Paul in private. I think that stuff's all right for me. But yeah, I interrupted. Sorry.
Oh no worries. The bit where she is like, "How come he never talks about my second kid?" But like he knows everything, so surely he knows about her.
And then the second kid is, he's got 2 kids. He's like, huh? Excuse me?
But I just love up until she dies, Chani must be just like, I guess the second one's just not gonna fucking do shit. Like,
I guess it's gonna be a shit kid. Yeah. This kid's gonna suck.
Now, to be fair, one of them does just cast a longer shadow on history.
I wonder which one that could be.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's anything I've heard about the fourth book.
I think it's weird to name.
Name him Leto?
Yeah, you did that already, and he died. Don't do that again.
Leto. Yeah, we call. Are we calling you Leto too? Oh, like the second, like as in your dad was the first. He's like, no, like you're my second kid called Leto.
Me naming my son Leto 2 final draft. Leto 2 final.
I suspect when that third movie happens and Paul and like the ending of Dune Messiah happens and you've got like Chani and Duncan like staring into the desert or whatever, I expect that there will be people in the audience going, well, yeah, fuck that guy. Why would I feel sorry for him?
How'd you feel about the Aaliyah stuff?
I like the whole, like, you know, the mystique mixed with completely mundane problem of, oh, I'm a teenage girl.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed that. I think they, you know, obviously the way they talk about it is they talk about it in terms of like, you know, you're a woman in a feudal society. We got to figure out what to do with you. That's just how that goes. And I'm like, I don't know. I think she's cool.
There's a scene where she goes like, do you know how fucking weird it is to become like an adult in the womb?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that is gonna fuck with you, huh? Her
kind of resentment of her fate, like more, like almost more so than Paul. Paul seems like a little more resigned to it. Is I quite enjoyed.
She's got to even get a choice to drink the water of life.
No, she didn't do nothing. Rip. Sucks to be her.
Yeah.
But yeah, read Dune Messiah. Next up, Children of Dune someday.
Yeah.
At one point. I intend to read God Emperor this year. That's what I have down on this bingo sheet or whatever.
See, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is like I mean, technically, I started reading bits of Children that I kind of fell off. But I'm like,
reading
I think
bits of Children
of Dune.
Yeah.
I did just sound like a weird, like, evil fortune teller there for a second.
Yeah.
That like sacrifices children.
I've just got some like bones here. Are they from kids? And, like,
the winning
the
lotto
bones.
numbers are no. But I was like, I should use this momentum to just like push through and get deeper in. I don't know if I'm going to go the full way, but it'd be nice to at least read through God Emperor, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest, I don't really fucking know what Heretic or Chapter House are really about. I know Chapter House is like a planet, I think.
Yeah, it's the... Chapter House is the name of the home base of the Bene Gesserit.
Okay.
Oh. And then the third book never happened. Dune 7.
Yeah. He had like maybe a napkin in him, but
yeah, and then his son brought in Kevin J. Anderson, and they made two books, and
everyone
loves them.
Novels. Yeah.
Everyone loves those books. They love them so much.
We're gonna do a prequel trilogy on the Butlerian Jihad. Everyone will appreciate this lore.
The thing I have heard a lot of Dune fans say is like, you at any point you can just stop reading Dune, and like any of those sequels would probably make for like a decent like ending, like stopping point. And I'm like, huh, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because you've got Dune, you can wrap up Dune and just stop there. That's fine.
Yeah,
that works. There's Dune Messiah, and then there's like Children of Dune and God Emperor. Kind of, you know, that's, you can stop at God Emperor, I think. And then there's, you know, you got the next two, and he never finished them. Rip.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Frank.
But also, like, Chapter House
and
ends in a
curse
place
upon your
where you
son,
can just
Brian.
kind of go...
Mm-hmm. Not a curse upon your other son that you hated, who was gay.
Yeah.
If Frank Herbert and William Gibson co-wrote a book, it would be... Can you imagine the descriptions of people?
That would be strange.
How racist would it be?
I think it would... No, here's the thing. It would be weird because Frank Herbert would be like, William, I think you're being a little bit racist. I think that could happen. I think Frank would have to be like, no, see, you don't... these aren't like alien people. There's reasons for why their culture is like that. Why are you so fixated on it? You know.
Frank, as he types another Arabic phrase, Bill, I don't know if you should be typing in patois.
Yeah. They're both critiquing each other for being a little bit weird about a particular culture.
William Gibson's like, which one of these fake words can I use to get laid in the bar?
Lol. His Frank Herbert gets like a fruity vibe off some of the things that William Gibson writes.
Like,
even though it's extremely straight, he gets a vibe.
We can they're like, we can split the difference and like we can just collectively be really weird about Swahili.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm not getting to Children of Dune right now. I'm reading other stuff. Right now, I'm reading the sequel to Assassin's Apprentice. I'm reading more Robin Hobb. I meant to read one chapter yesterday, and I accidentally read like 100 pages or something. And I was like, oh, damn, okay.
I guess to go off of your book update, I had a friend finish Mistborn, and she was like, I ain't reading the rest. Yeah. She was like, I ain't reading the rest of that. And then I was like, oh, let me tell you about how that one species, people that are like genetically predetermined to rule, actually were genetically predetermined to rule, it turns out. And she's like, I fucking knew it.
Something has to be done about Brandon. I heard him talking about revisions of Wind and Truth, and I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean revisions?
He's done this
revisions in response to the audience feedback, and I was like, we got to do something about you, urgently. You're gonna ruin everything.
He's done this once or twice. I know that the second book has an updated version that they Gundam seed it, where an action scene gets changed around, so someone who I can't remember the exact detail, but someone is made more sympathetic in the moment.
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay. Brandon has to be stopped. Anyway, that's what anyone else want to go?
Mel, you want to go? I got a few things, but...
Yeah, I have, a handful of things, but in the way that I'm I don't think I'll actually take much time for you to actually talk about them.
Okay.
Yeah, first of all, right off the bat, just going to say we aren't going to talk about it because, specifically for Brad's sake, Red has graciously held off on finishing it. But yeah, I haven't just finished, and I finished it, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's the story we're running with. I specifically made sure not to finish because I knew Brad would be on the podcast.
Yes.
I love this weird lore that has developed around Bang.
He just listen. It's not his fault. He just doesn't like women. He didn't choose this.
Yeah, God forbid women do anything.
Yeah, God forbid women make bands.
But yeah, I've been trying to pick away and finish stuff again for my both completionist and hard drive reasons. I finished Dandadan finally, that first season.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think the humor is hit or miss depending.
Mm-hmm.
It is a shonen battle series, so sometimes that stuff loses its appeal on me compared to other aspects of the show.
I didn't even know there were battles.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are fights. He gets Turbo Granny powers.
Yeah.
Racing Granny powers.
I have heard of that.
Turbo Granny? Yeah.
It's Turbo Granny.
Yeah.
And she gets psychic stuff.
Yeah, and acrobatic still key backstory is fucked up. Kind of wild they put that in there, but this guy definitely likes Ultraman a lot when you look at all the alien designs.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny. But I think the characters are charming. I was prepared going into it, but that cliffhanger is stupid.
Oh, did they have okay?
It ends in a really bad this cliffhanger is like if there was an episode next week.
Oh,
it's real dumb.
I kind of respect that for
idea.
just them knowing we're gonna get more. This won't matter in hindsight.
It's a little sad seeing that studio turn into we're doing weekly Shonen Jump manga. But then I guess I don't know if this is maybe more sustainable than what they had go, because I know Yuasa just isn't there anymore, right? Or something.
I don't know behind the scenes stuff like that. But
anyway.
I have to assume that getting an adaptation like this is just a studio's big break.
Mm-hmm. Science Sorrow has been Science Sorrow did Ping Pong, Devilman Crybaby, a bunch of stuff. Oh, they did Japan Sinks 2020 theatrical edition.
Oh, they're doing a Ghost in the Shell thing in 2026.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, they are.
I didn't know about that.
Damn.
But yeah, they've been around for a bit. They did Azoken. That was Science Sorrow. But yeah, they've recently they've they got Dandadan, and it was kind of I don't know, it was strange, but
yeah, it's still a bit too much threatening scenarios of antagonists assaulting, but
mm-hmm.
Including a cliffhanger.
Having read 7 chapters or something, I was like, this strikes me as something you like putting in the manga.
Yeah, maybe a bit too much. Maybe I would hope that it dies down, but I guess so far 12 episodes in, it's still there to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see when that new season drops. How I feel about going into it again. It's that's all right. I'm not in a rush to see more of it. So
yeah,
that kind of just makes going into it knowing about the cliffhanger. It makes the cliffhanger the way it is. Maybe go, oh, that's just funny.
Yeah,
I just
less
have a laugh at
infuriating.
this. Yeah. I'm not oh, I need to see what happens now. And if I did, I could just read the manga. So, another show I finished that was from season before this past one was a cute witch show called Stories of the Girls Who Couldn't Become Magicians.
Okay. Oh, that's is that Magilumiere or whatever?
No,
or is that a different thing?
So actually, originally I was Magilumiere is another one I actually finished as well. Incidentally, in the same period. So I actually think I was always originally going to talk about them as a pair because I thought comparison was interesting, but also as time wore on, I also felt like I had less to say about each of them. But just I'm gonna do it here anyway, just degree. Magilumiere is about magic girls as a job, you in 9 to 5 you clock into, and magic girls corporations.
Mm-hmm.
And Story of the Girls Who they can't become magicians is more you're going to a magic school kind of thing, but it's about this girl named Kurumi is I met. Actually, there's gonna be a lot of I think when I really think about it, it's based off a web novel, and the web novel definitely feels from someone who really liked Little Witch Academia.
Lol.
Because the protagonist is she meets a magician in her youth. She's a child, I want to be a magician, and then she tries to go to school to become a magician. Except the way things are set up, there's in order to become a magician, you have to specifically get into the magic program, and if you don't get in that program, you're like disbarred from being a magician because you have to get the license to be a magician. And then she ends up being put into the normal standard stream course. But she gets the quirky teacher who's like, actually, I'm going to teach you about the real magic. Because before we had like ancient magic, and that was for everyone. And now it's being Tragedy of the Commons into being like modern magic, which is like highly reliant on magic technology to do spells and stuff. And so it's, it's just like a cute, cozy show. It's like, you have like, there's the rival blonde girl who's like at first stuck up, but then they become good friends. I kind of forgot her name, but it's, cause it's just kidding. It's fine. Yeah, they like, they find the appeal of like, oh yeah, this is like maybe a better way of doing magic. Maybe the way that's like closes off magic from doing things people is fucked up. There was, yeah, I think the show is just looking really pretty. Here's like from the OP, a frame. It looks nice.
Yeah. With the kind of the faded lines.
Yeah, I think obviously that stuff's more embellished in the OP compared to like the actual show, but it's got a nice pastel look that I think looks really nice. Anyway, it's really charming. I think, in comparison to Magilumiere, which I've heard this anime adapts it to be more shonen-esque compared to the manga, which definitely does not help my tastes. But also, the core, like, the Magilumiere really believes in, like, the startup as a force for good into society compared to the corporation. Because, like, the biggest corporation in the country for magical girls is like strictly utilitarian and profit driven, and they don't care the way that us, the startup who has like willing to push the boundaries and try new things because we're that passionate, and we're like a family here.
Once we get enough venture capital, we're gonna save the world.
And it's just like, I think like fundamentally I ideologically disconnect from the series on that front, though. It's funny, the president is just like a guy who like dresses in dresses because he really likes magical girls, and he's fun. He's voiced by Kuritsugu.
Nice. Nice.
It does have the unfortunate obligatory, everyone goes, is that man in a dress, and then they move on, but they do have to point it out every single time that everyone at first feels normal. Everyone treats it as normal eventually, but when they first meet him, they do raise an eyebrow. I'm like, you don't have to highlight this per se. However, I feel like I don't have as much to say, but I did like when I was first watching these shows and making the comparisons, I was like gonna make a grand speech about like the petty bourgeois fascism of Magilumiere versus like the ecological socialism of the other show.
I see.
And I do believe this in my heart, but I also, they're all right. And by they, I mean the one show. I didn't really care for Magilumiere. I kind of don't really care for it, which is disappointing because it seemed like it was like a manga that people really liked as far as like a magical girl manga, and I was like, I might just be too communist for this one.
Damn.
I can't be bought into the mythologizing of like your coworkers as like your found family. But did I have anything else this week? I don't think I did. I think that's basically me. Let me just give me a second. Gonna be really annoying for a second. Yeah, that's it. That's me.
All right. Cool. Well, rip to Magilumiere. That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Brad, anything else, or was that? I mean, it doesn't sound like you've had the best week.
I have done a few things though.
Oh, okay.
Some of that catch up since I was gone. Actually, one catch up from a few weeks ago because it left so little of an impression. I fucking forgot to talk about it. Me and my friends finished Requiem for Vengeance. I just completely forgot to talk about it on the podcast.
Rip.
That second half is technically better than the first. The final episode stumbles. The way I describe this to my friend is it's like at the last episode of Requiem for Vengeance stumbles onto doing a Tomino thing, I think through sheer replication. Like, like they do something that on paper, if I described it to you, you'd be like, yeah, that's some classic Gundam stuff. But the direction and the tone is maybe not exactly what you'd think it would be. Like, on paper, it feels like they're doing a Tomino thing, but they're really just kind of copying someone else's homework. And it does hit a little bit, but the emotional pull-through, I don't think, is exactly there all the way at the end. Completely forgettable series, I would say. You really don't need to watch it. I did because I like Gundam, and I'm a completionist about things.
I'm sure I will exclusively when GGP covers it.
Yeah, it's, like, it could have been worse, I guess, but, like, it's not amazing. It really could have been any mecha setting, I think, is my main problem with this. Like, they do new type stuff. I think their vision for what new type stuff is really fucking boring and feels like it came from the Gundam wiki. So, you know.
Oh, so
it might have done.
Yeah. They keep, every now and again, they'll do, like, a weird, like, double Zeta reference, and I'm like, I don't believe you guys actually watched that shit. I'm sorry. But
at least we can say about Fukui, he does like double Zeta.
Yeah.
Earnestly.
I mean, it could be that this was through Unicorn forcing people to watch Double Zeta.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? The more it might actually be more Unicorn stuff than Double Zeta now that I think about it. That's funny.
Guy who only knows of Plua through, like, Murda.
That was someone in a Discord server who got to Double Zeta and got to Plur and was like, "Wait, hang on, this is the Unicorn girl, right?"
Oh my
god!
And
I was like, "Hey,
that's amazing." The other thing, live as of I think like a day or two ago. City of the Wolves beta number 2 happened after feedback came back from the first City of the Wolves beta. I think they did some light balance changes a little bit. I don't actually know for sure. But the big difference for me, at the very least, is that, two big changes. One, they're just letting you do training mode. Because guess what? As soon as that first beta hit and there was no training mode, there was a practice tutorial thing where you could only play as Rock Howard, which means everyone just got really good with Rock Howard. And then later on, people were like, well, if you're not allowing us to use training mode, guess we're going to look into how to hack this beta. Oh, oops, did we just crack the beta so that we just have full access to it forever now? Okay, good. And I think SNK kind of hit home like, hey, you know what will make people not crack open our shit is if we just give them the thing that they're cracking open our shit for. So they just were like, yeah, you can play around in training mode this time. We're not going to limit you that for some stupid reason. And the other big thing is instead of having you fight like 3 CPU opponents to gauge where you start in the ranked mode, they just give you 4 options and they're like, hey buddy, just pick whatever. And I was like, okay. So I picked the like second option of like going from lowest to highest. I'm doing much better this beta than the first one, which again, I think I talked about on here. I think I just
Brad Smurfing.
I think I flummoxed the beta last time with where it put me, and I just got put way too fucking high, and yeah, now I'm just smurfing. But I've been playing a lot of Mai. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with her. I know people said in the first beta that she was one of the weaker characters, and I kind of felt it, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm having a lot of fun with her. I don't know if I'm gonna choose her to be my main. I was just like, I've played a lot of SNK stuff. Not really a lot, but like, I've dabbled in SNK stuff. I've never really played around with Mai. I was like, I should see what's up. But yeah, City of the Wolves seems fun. Really upset about them adding a not so great dude.
They added Cristiano Ronaldo to the fucking... What the fuck?
Yeah, I would simply not add a guy who has like a settlement out of court for sexual assault charges to your game as a DLC fighter. I don't know. It's not thrilled about that. Not thrilled about that.
Say what you will about Sonic All-Stars Racing Transform, but at least I don't think Danica Patrick has those issues.
Yeah.
Danica Patrick's in that game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh.
I don't... Here's the thing. I don't really know how... Right. It's really easy. It's got to be way harder to add Cristiano Ronaldo to your game than it is to not do that.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on where you're getting your money. In which case, maybe it's really hard not to say no to adding him to your game.
Yeah, maybe. It fucking sucks though. I was like seeing like news something about Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's like, what's the something about City of the Wolves, and it's like, wait, this is the same news where they put him in the fucking... What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I think the sad truth is turbo popular celebrity figure that will appeal to core geographic audience where those games are popular is probably the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do not feel great about the decision.
No.
When they announced that they were doing a crossover thing with that guy, I assumed it was going to be like costumes or something. Not that.
Yeah. A bit strange.
The other thing, I have decided I'm going to get completely Mamoru Nagano pilled this year.
Okay.
I decided to rewatch a movie I've seen before, but it's been a minute. The 5-Star Stories, based on the manga that people know and love and will probably go unfinished at the rate he's going. But
it's called Gothic Maid now.
Gothic Maid now is the real name. Yeah, and also too, author famously decided to just completely retcon every bit of terminology and proper nouns in his setting because he just decided he wanted to do something different. And he pissed off everyone. Have either of you watched the 5-Star Stories or read the 5-Star Stories?
No. I was gonna do it when after I read Elgheim, because I figured Elgheim kind of leads into 5-Star Stories existing, so it's
I am also a no.
That is, Mel, funny enough, what I have doubled back around, especially after... So, for those of you who don't know, Mamoru Nagano is a famous mecha designer. You may know him from, in particular, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. Did the Cubile... I believe the O, a lot of the weirder suits that people praise Zeta Gundam looks for, they're from Nagano, and he just has a very unique visual identity all his own. He also did the Brain Powered from Brain Powered. I'm trying to think of other pulls that people would know him from, but 5-Star Stories is really his big baby because it's where he's in charge of everything. It's his story, so he gets to go all out and just kind of draw whatever the fuck he wants. But before 5-Star Stories, he was involved with the last Tomino show that was made between the original Gundam and Zeta Gundam, Heavy Metal Elgheim, which is this big space opera style, 50-episode mecha story thing. And Nagano wrote really deep, background setting, world-building lore stuff for the world of Elgheim. And after Elgheim was finished, from what I gather, at least this is the story as I've been told, Elgheim towards the end kind of had a bit of staff drain going on, similar to Double Zeta in the lead up to Char's counterattack, where...
Oh yeah, I can bet that Sunrise was like, oh, we're making the sequel to Gundam, guess you gotta get, like, the A-team on that.
Yes, that's exactly what it sounds like happened, is in the last stretch of Elgheim, just, everyone was all hands on Zeta, and, like, they kind of left Elgheim to rot a little bit, and apparently Nagano wasn't super thrilled about that. There's also... Sunrise execs have a weird relationship with Nagano. Like, Nagano was supposed to be on Char's counterattack, and I think a few other things before and after with Tomino. And Tomino's like, I really want to work with this guy, and the Sunrise higher-ups are like, no, we need someone more conventional, fuck this guy. Which sucks. But after Elgheim concluded, Nagano got the right to use that setting exposition, like, detail stuff that didn't really make its way into Elgheim, to make his own manga, a new type magazine, called The 5-Star Stories. Which a few things I've learned about 5-Star Stories. Apparently, in Volume 1 of 5-Star Stories, it opens with a fucking, like, lore timeline of the entire, like, 5-Star Stories story in macrocosm. So you already know how everything is going to shake out before you even start reading the story, which is an interesting creative decision that I kind of respect.
My brain went 3 different directions in response to this.
Name all 3. I'm curious.
Xenogears Complete Works / Xenosaga.
Yes. We're aligned in that.
Call Atreides. And the third one is the first episode of Bakano.
Yeah, the Xenogears one is also something I've been thinking about a lot, because I do have a feeling that the Xenogears guy, is Takahashi is his name?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm sure he fucks with 5-Star Stories.
Yeah, it has that vibe to it. Just like the amount of like large time,
also,
like deep time
there
scale.
really is just like a 1-to-L parallel when it's like you look at the lore book Xenogears Complete Works, and then you look at like the intro database, the lore of Xenosaga, and go, oh, okay, it's a different company, but he just took it.
Yeah.
The exact same thing, like the same terminology even.
Yeah. The thing that made me go, okay, because at first I was like, I don't know if I want to read 5-Star Stories and then double back around to Elgheim, because Elgheim's one of those like Tomino things that like I still need to get to.
Yeah, I did see you were shifting immediately from this movie to Elgheim.
Well, you want to know the thing that did it was learning that there is an arc of the 5-Star Stories that is just one. Wait, what?
Not that one.
Arc.
Oh, god damn it. You know what? It's already out of my brain.
That's just gone.
Yeah, it's gone. Doggle pissed all over that. No, but there is an arc of 5-Star Stories that is just doing Elgheim with the names changed. In broad strokes.
I love that. I love that for him.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay. And the other thing about 5-Star Stories...
These are so fucking cool.
What's cool?
The mortar heads.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I was Googling the images of them.
They're so fucking good. Shoutouts to the Yagd Mirage Twin Towers. Drawn in the 90s. Named in the 90s.
I might have to join you on this journey when I have time, just because I'm like, I feel like it's also like I want to get Elgheim squared away and also do 5-Star Stories.
Yeah. But the thing that I have come to appreciate about the 5-Star Stories, perhaps maybe it's a little bit less of a story and more an artist and writer's cool idea delivery vehicle. And I think that's kind of neat. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like the arcs don't really follow in like a chronological order. It's just him going to a part of his big timeline he came up with and going, oh, I want to tell that story now. And he just kind of flip-flops
maybe
from place
that
to place.
makes like the whole Gothic Maid thing more like forgivable in a way. Like,
I think so.
It's more like, I feel, because in that case it's like less like, it's more like He's more like a mid-franchise reboot than like in that way. Than like.
Yeah, it's that. It's also, if you look up 5-star stories and Gothic made stuff, oh boy, does Nagano love to make art books and design works that all have like pages upon pages of, hey, here's this cool noble lady and here's her backstory. I don't know if I'll ever tell her story in the manga. Like it really just seems like this is his like OC.
It sounds like the kind of franchise that's like
rules.
actually like it's for people who like reading wikis instead of stories.
I think it is. I really think it is. It's just a very cool version of that made by one guy that's really fucking good at drawing mechs and like weird like space feudalist like fashion.
Now I'm like open to the possibility of like maybe a media franchise is just the Wikipedia page.
And like because I before going into this too, I was like, I don't even know if I want to get into this because like a volume of this just came out a few weeks ago after it being kind of dead for a few years. But then the other thing that like I've kind of come to is like you can just read what the ending plot beat is. Like it's just been there since the first time this was published. So like I don't really know if I care if like this doesn't wrap up in like a satisfactory way. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just whenever he gets inspired, he'll add more to the story. And like, if it ends at some point, it ends at some point. And I'm like, you know what? That's cool. But yeah, I've gone on too long about a manga I haven't really read yet. Elgaim, I've watched one episode of. Elgaim is fucking cool.
Elgaim's cool.
I've only seen one episode myself.
Red, how deep have you gotten into Elgaim?
15 episodes.
Okay. The first episode has what I can only describe as the most, like, RPG-ass, like, opening of any Tomino thing I think I've ever seen. Where it's...
One of the crucial things is that he's not... Like, he's the director. I don't think he's necessarily, like, the lead, like, creative figure. Like, in terms of, like... Like, obviously, he's not writing loads of scripts on Gundam, right? But he's involved. But I think Elgaim, he's a lot more hands-off. Characters are much more normal.
It makes sense. It feels like a normal like trio where like you got the two blowjob brothers at the start that have this junker mech called Elgaim that's actually sick as fuck. And then there's the bandit girl who's like not really super invested in her little bandit group that she has, trying to like, you know, seduce them or like charm them into like, you know, getting what she wants. And then she's like, hey, you know what, those bandits were lame anyways, I'm gonna just stick around with you guys. And then they get a fucking like quest log updated request by a dying soldier at the end. Where he's like, hey, go find this fucking arms dealer and give him this flash drive for me. It rules. There's a part where the main character, whose name I'm already forgetting, Adaba, shoots a guy. Like, they're being attacked by the bandits, and he shoots one of them. And he rides past them on his hover bike thing, and he's like, I really didn't want to do that, please don't die.
Yeah.
And then he calls his friend, and he's like, hey, can we get the robot out? I'm much more comfortable fighting in a robot against other robots than I am shooting at people. It just gives me the creeps. He actually says the phrase, it gives me the creeps. That's the stuff where the Tomino-isms kind of came through for me. But
Daba My Road.
Yes! It's my road.
That's his name. His name's My Road. It's my road.
It's my goal.
Verstappen after someone's in front of him.
Yeah.
F1.
It is Mike. I can't believe that F1 had a huge controversy, and it was both of the Ferraris getting disqualified.
Oh wait, was this from
Shanghai?
Okay, I'm behind because of how my condition has been. But that is funny. I do know that there's been a switch up with the Red Bull teams with Yuki, which sounds like probably should have been the case from the jump of the season. But, you know.
No. Anyway.
Yeah. Elgaim seems cool.
Elgaim.
I am excited. Oh, I should say, part of the thing that spurred this on is that Elgaim got a fucking Blu-ray release in Japan. So a new version of it is up on the Cat site, and it is 300 gigabytes, but goddamn, does it look beautiful. It's worth it. Hopefully someone makes like a Remux version of it to cut that file size down. But
I'm just like, I need space on my hard drive.
No, that's fair.
Jesus fucking Christ. Learn to fucking, like, condition... What's the word? Encode your...
Yeah.
Encode.
Don't just upload the raw file you're ripping Blu-ray. Jesus Christ.
Some people want that. Some people want the huge hundreds of gigabytes.
I can say these things.
Seed of Might is out here doing that shit.
I can say these things because I have experience doing the ripping and uploading. I will say at least they're not doing the cardinal sin of like making the file size bigger by denoising it.
Yeah.
The denoising happens. The denoising happens within the Studio Sunrise.
Yes.
Before they release the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I
don't know if that's. I haven't actually seen screenshots from the Elgaim Blu-ray, but
it's not the worst compared to others I've seen.
Keep what I have.
But yeah,
I'll keep what I have. I'm good.
Here's a comparison for Red.
What am I looking at? Let me.
From the from the Cat site.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm all right.
This does look good, though, I will say.
It does, but like
the big change for me actually that pushed me over too is it sounds so much crisper.
Those pinks are so pink.
You're gonna be like the person who's like buys into the aesthetic of Sailor Moon as like pink washed when actually that's just Toei really being bad at preserving them.
No. I'm just it's, Anyway.
We're not gonna take the moral grandstandings of these shows.
I got one last thing, and that is
I don't watch smooth old anime. I don't do it. except when it's the Turn A Blu-ray, unfortunately.
I got one last thing. Atelier Yumia came out, and I used it as...
You're playing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was curious about it since it dropped.
I thought you didn't like girls.
Oh my fucking god! I'm not accepting this. I'm not accepting these falsehoods. Well, you know what?
This is a real step forward for you.
Okay. You know what, though? I will say upon reading reception, I might be part of the problem. So, Atelier, long-running series, very popular with women.
You should try Manakemia.
Hey, guess what? All my fucking friends love that game, and I really wish they would make another one of them.
I want to play the Atelier series, but definitely Manakemia is one of the ones in this series I want to play.
The thing about Manakemia is it is what if Atelier was for boys, and that's a little cringe. But also, I have heard music from that game, and I'm like, holy shit! This game's so good. I have to play this.
This is the thing that the women in my life who are big Atelier fans have been telling me. And my friend Jake.
Yeah.
And that one guy. Is that Atelier secretly has some of the best JRPG soundtracks in fucking video games. And no one will tell you this. Unless you ask.
There's like a battle theme that I forget if it's like just the generic battle theme. But there's a battle theme in Atelier Aisha that's like, this goes crazy hard. Both in title and soundtrack.
I was about to go look it up, but you know what? I'm not going to do that on this audio podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it, though. So Brad, keep talking.
Okay. So the thing with Atelier is that it got turbo popular in recent years with the release of Ryza, which was a game that maybe Atelier, as the name suggests, very big on like crafting mechanics and like, oh, like you're an alchemist, like making stuff in a shop. And
there's
I believe
timers.
There's time limits and timers.
Yeah. Though starting with like the Dusk series of Atelier games, they kind of like toned down the timer stuff.
And from what I believe, that has been the case for many iterations of it since then. Even
the Dusk series is like mid tens. So
yeah, it's been on a downward slide, but Ryza, yes, I have heard is sort of like they gave up.
Anyway,
Ryza,
I posted the tracking question in the chat. Aisha, the first game of the Dust trilogy.
I will not be plugging this into the episode. So anyone who actually wants to know what we're listening to, it is Atelier Aisha, the Alchemist of Dusk OST. Yesterday's enemy is load is yesterday's enemy is today's ingredient.
Yeah.
There we go.
But the big thing that I've heard about the series is that sometimes like late 2010s they came out with the Ryza trilogy of games, which that sub-series got a trilogy because it got turbo popular. Part of that was because the main character is very character design wise, it's just very obviously like trying to go for like male gaze fan service stuff, which a lot of the women who really liked the series that I know, not a big fan of the direction that the series took with those games coming out.
Yeah, my friends who are Atelier fans don't really like Ryza, and I'm sure some of it's also like that aspect, but also like the gameplay aspect they don't care for.
Well, if you want to fix that aspect of Atelier, apparently you have to fix the economy.
Oh yeah. That was a wild quote. The Ryza guy was like, "Oh yeah, we gave her big thighs as like
when times are hard, people gravitate towards women with bigger thighs." Which I mean, times are hard, and I have seen Nikke, the goddesses of victory, has been making advances.
Yeah, like our third episode this week. Oh my god. But yeah,
we keep interrupting you. Please continue your thoughts. Attempt to maintain your train of thought. I apologize.
It's all good. My friends, at least design wise, were more on board with Yumia because they're just like, oh, they found a way to kind of like marry the like, okay, maybe have a little bit of fan service that's going to be appealing for like gooners, but also just like she looks fucking cool. Like she's like a cool like witch lady. She looks a little bit older than like they typically go for their protagonists. Honestly, like part of the reason I was interested in this game, I'm just like, oh, like the characters like look kind of sick from like what the trailers and stuff look like, and also like this is their Breath of the Wild moment. They've gone full open world, like go gather shit around and like build a base and do your crafting by collecting a bunch of like flowers out in the field and stuff like that and taking quests and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, this seems like it could be neat. So let me try this out for the first time. I've never played any of these games before. And I think this might just be my like, oh, like this is my fun little like spring unwind, like have a chill time game. I just realized without intentionally doing it, I did the time thing again.
You're
God
doing your thing.
fucking
You're
damn it.
doing the thing.
I didn't even need to do that.
It's not a joke. It's just a real thing. It's just a real aspect of your personality.
That reminds me. I need to mention this.
Yeah.
Because I had my own Brad moment. Where I finished the last episode of Ave Musica, and like within like under a minute of me, the episode ending, the file ending in MPV, the clock struck noon, and the church across the street, as churches do at noon, started ringing the church bells, and I was like, yes, this is like the ideal time to finish Ave Musica is when the clock strikes noon and the church bells start ringing across the street.
That's good. I'm happy I can infect you with the time-based media consumption.
it was a really specific narrow window that could have made that possible. I was like, damn, I lined this up accidentally perfectly.
Yeah, the
so yeah, you like Yumia.
Yeah, the only thing I can say, because they did the thing that JRPGs do now, which I absolutely adore, which is, hey, the demo is like the first few hours of the game, you get to carry over your save. I'm having a good time with it. The thing that I will say, and I apologize for doing this because bad form on podcast, but this is really the only way I can accurately describe my feelings, is that the Atelier people are like, oh, this is the dark one, and my response to that is this, which is the photo of SpongeBob and Patrick on the roller coaster, and freaking out, and it goes over a very tiny bump.
At Weenie Hut Juniors or whatever?
Yeah, it's a little Weenie Hut Juniors. It's dark.
So this is the dark one, dark for Atelier.
Yes,
I've heard the Dusk series is also like that, because like the world is kind of dying.
So that's the big thing with this one, is that the alchemy in this one is fucked up, and there used to be a big grand empire that ruled over everything, but then the alchemists had their way with the magic of the land, and it caused a great catastrophe that's origins are unknown, but everyone knows that alchemy was responsible. So now alchemy is outlawed, except for very, very unique circumstances, such as the protagonist, Yumia. But everyone treats her like the evil witch that uses the bad magic that ruined the world, so she gets bullied a lot. But of course, you immediately get friends that are like, wow, you're so cool, you can do all this cool magic stuff, hey, stop being mean to her. So like it kind of loses a lot of that teeth right away.
Yeah.
The one
like
thing,
an adult novel?
It's kind of YA novel coded. The cool thing I really like about the setting so far is that mana in this world is intrinsically linked to memories. So as a lot of these Breath of the Wild inspired like open world games do, like
story 2.
Yeah, there you go. You have, like, the bad corrupted areas that are, like, dangerous, and they kind of seem to be, like, your big, longer-winded dungeons. And you can only be there for so long. Like, you have, like, a little timer thing that you have, like, this mana jar that you use that you have to fill up. And it slowly ticks down as you're in these areas. So there is a little bit of a time limit for going through, like, the bigger dungeons, but not really for when you're doing the open world stuff, which I think is kind of, like, a cute little nod back to, from what I gather, what the series used to be like. But the idea is that the memories that are collected there are so awful that it actually just wears away at your health. Which is kind of a neat idea. I like the idea that it's a post-apocalyptic-ish setting, or like post-empirical collapse.
Yeah.
And all of the memories and the weight of that are having a toll on people. And using that to kind of make something new in the wake of all that collapse it's kind of an interesting idea. I hope it sticks the landing and does some cool stuff with it. Only thing is that the combat system is so fucking easy. It's like an action RPG thing where you have a skill like rotation with cooldowns. You can just mash that shit and win on normal. So
my action game friend Kayam was talking about this game the other day in voice call, and he was saying like the game pretends to have hit stun even though it actually doesn't, and he was like, this is a baffling choice.
Yeah, I think they really just wanted you to like, you don't have to think at all. I think they really just wanted you to be hitting buttons fast, and like,
yeah,
I had a friend who has turned it up to the hardest difficulty, who's a bit further than I am, and he said like, I think the combat isn't going to be as important as it is like whether or not you just have the, because you have your base skills that are intrinsic to the character that you get as you level up, but then also like you have equipment that you craft. And it maybe just seems like the actual, like, I don't really know how much the battle system and like learning how to play it is going to matter versus just like, oh, did you get the stuff you need to like be able to overcome this really? But that's fine. Like it is the type of game where I'm totally fine just putting on and not having to think. and just kind of chilling out too. I think that's kind of the vibe it's going for. I don't really think they're looking to give you like deep combat. Really, it's just kind of like it's an RPG, so we have combat. So yeah.
Wow.
That's all I got.
Atelier Yumia.
Yeah.
Yumia. All right. Well, in which case, we can talk about some fucking Ultraman. We have got 3 episodes of Ultraman Leo we've got to talk about today. This is Hokkaido week.
Yeah, we're scouting the land before we dive in deep in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It would have been really funny if we didn't have one more week. If like DJ Corey was a week early.
Yeah. No, I've got 2 weeks to read some volumes of Golden Kamuy.
I'm halfway through volume 2 as of last night.
Nice. Very nice.
I'm not going to Hokkaido.
You're not going to Hokkaido. No. Episode 19 of Ultraman Leo is called Behold, Ultra Horror Series, The Revived Merman, featuring Alien Bose the Merman.
Why isn't this just Ragon?
In a way, I'm like, it's kind of interesting that in this era they still insist on making new guys, whereas in a modern era they would just use the classic guy. Like if they
could have gave Ragon a whip.
Ragon is not an alien.
If this was a modern day, like if this was an episode of Ultraman Arc, this would be Ragon.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
the fam. Didn't think I'd forget that one, did you?
No.
The fam are on a trip to Hokkaido.
Is that what you're calling them now?
Yeah,
you didn't listen to last week's episode for shame.
You didn't listen to last week's episode.
No, I did. I did not. I listened to it in a span of headache, so none of it stuck with me.
You know what? That's fair.
Damn. That's
I couldn't tell you shit about what you said or how you thought about any of those episodes, if I'm being honest.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest.
You've got a decent excuse. Yeah.
You know what? We didn't talk about those episodes much. Gonna be fair.
We mostly did not talk about the episodes of Ultraman.
Can I also mostly not talk about those episodes? Oh,
yeah, sure.
Hyperion covers suck. I do remember that. I got that for some reason. But, holy shit, I just don't... You gotta make the horror one scary. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I kind of think the one with, like, the wax lady is kind of neat a little bit, but then, like, all of these...
Brad, the wax lady one isn't in the horror series.
What?
It's not an episode marked by the title Behold, Ultra Horror Series.
What are we doing? Why? Why not that one? Is it because it's not in Hokkaido? Are the other two in Hokkaido?
Your headaches have recreated my exact reaction from last week.
You know what? I felt bad.
My exact words, I believe, was something like, they can't do anything right. Ever.
I felt bad going into this recording because, you know, as the one of the three of us, I'd say life gets in the way of me showing up to these things more than for either of you two. And sometimes I do feel bad about that. But I mean,
last time you were just like, you felt miserable.
Yeah. But, like, I do, in these situations, I do try to listen to the last one, so it's like I was there and caught up and, you know, I'm not missing out on anything. And then this week, this is the first time I've been like, oh, fuck, like, I listened, but not really, because, like, I barely retained any of it. I feel kind of bad. But it's resulted in this moment, which is
fucking
great.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't miss nothing.
But more importantly, it resulted in this moment, which makes me feel like it was worth it.
Yeah.
But
the fam are on a trip to Hokkaido. They go to a seaside village, but it turns out this village bans fishing at this time of the year. Well, why? Well, because of the sea monster, of course. It appears if you catch fish during the Bon Festival. Long ago, says the guy, I don't actually know what he does or what his name is or how important he is, but he says long ago, someone broke the rules and now the salmon in the river are gone. We only catch a handful in a year. Please don't break the rules. You'll make the sea monster angry. Toru brags about Gen being a MAC officer and says he can handle any sea monster, and a local boy named Kazuo overhears. Kazuo is in a bit of a bind. See, his dad broke the rules last night and accidentally fished up the sea monster, a merman, and then tried to club it to death, so it seems likely the merman will want revenge. Kazuo tries to talk to Gen about it, but he gets chased off by the old guy. Unfortunately, night falls and the clubbed merman awakes and murders Kazuo's parents. Gen runs through the street yelling for help, but the villagers hide away in their homes. Not their problem. Gen manages to chase the merman into the sea. Mac arrives to investigate, and Dan's like, alright, this is clearly alien bows. Dan takes a defensive approach to respect the village's rules, and Gen is outraged. Dan insists it's the right thing to do, saying the monster has been living in the hearts of the villagers for years, and they won't trust interlopers. Kazuo, meanwhile, is making a harpoon, and Toru's like, wow, that's rad. He's got revenge on his mind. The old man, who's all about the rules, is out with his wife, and they get attacked by bows. His wife dies, but Kazuo harpoons bows before the old man is killed. Mac chases bows away, and the old man gives permission to do anything to eliminate the sea monster. Dan takes Gen to train against Bows' tentacle arm attack and just starts whipping him. Dan does actually demonstrate the counter, though, so he's learning how to teach. Just a little. Bows attacks as a giant kaiju, and the village is getting wrecked. Mac attack, and Gen turns into Leo. Leo defeats Bows' tentacle move and destroys the kaiju, which briefly turns into a skeleton and then explodes. Later, the old man promises to take in Kazuo, as he and his wife never had children of their own. Kaoru is like, I wish I had a dad. And then Kaoru and Toru imagine Gen and Momoko as an older married couple, and Kaoru's like, ooh, you. No. The end.
I do think it's funny that the show is doubling down on Dandadan Moroboshi.
Yes.
He's like,
it's like, it's this sea monster. And he's like, no, it's this alien. It's an alien called Bows. It just takes one look at a footprint and goes, yep, got it. Easy. So yeah, we got some village horror stuff this time. I do quite like the scene where the merman kills the parents.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good
for sure.
Very atmospheric. Big fan. The rest of this episode is kind of rote-ish, but I do like the conflict in here between Dan and Gen about like they're finding new angles for Dan and Gen to disagree all the time, and this one is like a little new, is where Dan is just like, listen, we have to respect the village's rules. We can't just we're trying to save these people. We can't do that by riling them up, and like we can't disregard them. And that's reasonable thing for Dan to believe.
This episode being so close to that Ragon one from Ultra Q was prime brain food for me to think about, like, do a compare and contrast of how these two episodes work. And thinking about how, like, so much of this episode, you can't actually focus on the menace of this fish guy being, like, an actual presence. And part of that is because we have an actual main character that has, a personality and shit now. And we gotta have the room for him and his mentor figure to have that healthy disagreement. And I'm just like, it's different. I don't know if it's better or worse, but I do feel like the actual, like, horror angle of it kind of suffers here, where I don't really feel like outside of the scene with the parents dying, which I do agree, I think is very good. It just kind of feels like another bad guy washed up, a little bit.
I especially feel that in terms of, it turns out that the merman is like has been victimizing the village. Is like the angle that they come at this from. Yes, is like the Ragon are sympathetic. The merman is a problem. Yeah, it's like a different. This is a different perspective. This is a show where we got to kill the monster.
Mm-hmm. Literally, does he not start beating it with a stick or something.
yes.
The guy fishes it up and immediately starts clubbing it.
Okay,
and
let's
goes
kill
away.
this guy.
Okay. Beat him to death. And I was immediately like, okay, so he has offended the merman now because he's tried to kill the merman, and I'm like, okay, this is the basis of the thing. And then it turns out,
No.
I deserved it.
No, the merman totally deserved that.
Yeah.
This is absolutely typical of the Leo perspective, absolutely typical of the Ultraman perspective. Every Ultraman fan picking up pitchforks and torches to come kill me for implying that Ultraman is
really funny
viciously
watching...
opposed to aliens.
It was really funny seeing on Twitter like a Godzilla guy saying like, yeah, I kind of bounced off Ultraman for like those reasons, and then all the Ultraman fans coming after him like, you don't understand Ultraman.
No, I think he do. I think he does understand. I'm watching it with my eyes.
I think even the people making Ultraman understood. There's episodes about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get whatever the fuck the Joggle thing was if you aren't at least somewhat questioning the presumptions of the series.
Oh, motherfucker! It's a cute dog, and also it dies anyway, and also it's a good guy because it sides with Ultraman against other kaiju.
That it kills.
Weak.
Yeah. I want to say, I like that I like that we still got a Dan training sequence in this episode.
We did. We got
Actually,
a
we got two
training
this batch.
sequence.
I knew at some point or another a whip was going to be used in one of these training sequences.
I mean, he's basically already doing that with his cane regularly.
Yeah.
As you can see from my shitpost I put the other day.
I didn't expect it to be a merman, but you know.
He just immediately like pulls out the whip, and Gen's looking at him like, "Oh, I wonder what this could be about." And it's like, "What do you mean? Why do you look confused? Surely you know what's about to happen."
I think Gen is a bit stupid.
He may be stupid.
I think Gen is like probably like our first himbo Ultraman.
That's so true. That's so true. And Dan's trying to train the himbo out of him. This is such a tragic fate. God. He's trying to make him mean. It's so sad. But yeah, I did like the weapon.
I went on a mental journey there where I went, is he trying to make him into a Herbo? And then I was like, first of all, that's not the word.
Second, Dan would not turn anyone into women. Dan doesn't, Dan's having a Brad moment. But yeah, who made this episode?
This one was made by, directed by Toru Toyama, who's been doing a few episodes as of late, including the Woman Who Faded into the Night, which was the Ghost and the Full Moon one from last week. Also did the one with Alien Flip, making copies of himself. And then I think
that shit ruled.
Yeah, and then I think also did one more. Let me see. Oh no, did two more. He did A Beautiful Man's Will, which is with the plant monster with the flowers.
Oh, with the boomerangs.
Yeah, and then also the one with Vekara, which which is the one where Gen goes to train with the Mountain Temple Man. Who he just
that one also that also
shit out of with a shovel.
Yeah, just hits that fucking old guy. Thank you for including that in the morning routine video, by the way, Mal.
Which one?
It's Gen hitting the old guy with the stick.
Yes, it was important.
Then the old guy going, hold on, this guy, okay, he's
just crazy.
Yeah.
You can forgive him. You can forgive him. He's just not all there.
This is... making that video was like a similar exercise to like the Destiny Backstreet Back OP, where it's like I have to be considered about which clips I put where.
The Backstreet's Back is so good. The Am I Original is fantastic. It's very consistently very impressive. It's your magnum opus.
I felt it is my magnum opus. I did feel like almost thinking too much hot-headed of myself as I realized now I understand the montage as an art form. thank you, Soviet filmmakers. Yes.
Thank you for montage theory.
Me making my G-Savior AMV.
Lol.
And then also is written by Shigemitsu Taguchi.
We didn't. Brad, do you know if Taguchi's the one who's going right wing?
Wasn't that Ishido?
I thought it was Ishido.
Oh, okay. Okay, then it's Ishido. But the two of you both reacted by saying, "Isn't that Ishido?" So I bet it's Ishido.
Well, because one of them ends up writing a autobiography called like a bigoted right-wing man's life or something, and I'm pretty sure it was Ishido.
I think I looked up Taguchi. I was like, he seems kind of normal when I look up his bio. So
yeah, normal, derogatory in the case of his opinions about women in that one episode. You know, it's how it goes. It's how it goes.
Well, okay, so I looked through my notes app, and I do have episode 36 of Return of Ultraman, written by Toshiro Ishido, and then as a reminder to myself, I wrote in parentheses, bigoted old man. So...
Nice.
Thank you, Pat B.
Mel, your stuff.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make this easy. The next 3 episodes are all special extra Shohei Tojo.
Nice.
And Alien Bow is designed by Tetsuo Osawa.
Cool. So yeah, I mostly just quite like this, but I like this episode, but it's kind of a little unremarkable-ish.
Yeah.
I felt like the last bit was a little... So, we've joked before
about... The skeleton or Kazuo?
No, the skeleton ruled.
Yeah.
Is this the one where at the end... Like, because we've joked before about, like, sometimes after they defeat the monster, the, like, 1.5 minute wrap-up they have to do can get a little silly. But this one, it's like, you no longer have parents, child, so I have decided to adopt you. Hey, two children of the show, isn't it kind of cool how you two also have kind of been adopted?
Yes.
It just felt a little amateur.
The guy feels, like, really pleased with, like, having a new son, despite the fact his wife just died.
His wife just died. And also, Kaoru seems really pleased with having a new dad, despite the fact he lost a dad and a mum. It's you know, wipe that smile off you. Be sad for a little bit longer. That's the message. You know how people love to be like, oh, I don't want anyone crying at my funeral. I want everyone to be celebrating my life. I hope there's plenty of people crying at my funeral. Are you kidding me? I hope, you gotta cry a little bit. You can't just move on like that. You gotta be upset for a while.
All right. I hate funerals. Have I told either of you about this before?
No.
Oh,
Brad with a spicy take. I hate funerals.
It is true. No, okay. So
what's the problem with funerals? Explain.
I really... Okay, yes, when you put it like that, of course everyone fucking hates funerals, but I do actually just genuinely feel, and this is a very hard thing for me to communicate to people, because also, too, it's the other thing where when it comes up, I'm not going to say shit, because it would be very rude and wrong for me to do so, but I do think that funerals are actually antithetical to how I grieve, to the point where I think it actually just does make me feel way worse than if I just moved on beyond. Which some people have told me it's probably a little fucked up to feel that way, but I don't know. I actually just think that funerals make me feel worse than I would do if there was not a funeral. Yeah, weird quirk of my personal brain chemistry, and the cultural mourning that we do, to say goodbye to people. I don't know. It just...
Well, guess who's not invited to my fucking funeral? Jesus Christ.
I ain't flying all that way.
I'm flying over. They're gonna fly me over to America.
This just reminds me. There's an anecdote on the RPG podcast I like, Retrograde Amnesia, where one of the hosts describes having to like deliver a eulogy at a funeral, and he did like. Well, it's a bit like, in some sense, it is a bit like doing a podcast, but different. And the other host was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
That's I can't believe that.
I'm probably misremembering some things, but it's like about that's about the conversation, more or less.
Nice.
See, the real
Nice.
thing is that I can't have either of you at my funeral because like Mel will go up and be like, yes, the best time for a funeral is 2 p.m. on a Thursday, just as he would have wanted. And then Red was gonna be like, well, as they all know about Brad, just fucking hated women.
Yeah.
All my friends and loved ones are gonna be like, what the fuck?
We're gonna like talk to like the people running the funerals. Like, all right, so I know this sounds crazy, but please have someone playing my go over this funeral. He would have wanted it.
True.
You would have wanted it. All right. Do we have anything more about this episode?
No.
We might not.
It was all
That's
right.
okay. It was all right. We can tell you about episode 20 of Ultraman Leo, which is called Behold, Ultra Horror Series, The Mysterious Boy from Ursa Minor, featuring Dogyu.
Yeah.
Dogyu.
This one seems
Dogyu.
easier pronounced than the one from the Arc movie.
Yeah. The Taurus Kaiju.
Me pointing at every inch of this episode. Where the horror? Where horror? This is just normal Ultraman.
Why is this one called a horror episode?
Yeah.
My horror this episode
yes.
is the fact that every episode is set in Hokkaido, but there's no mention of the Ainu ones.
My horror of this episode is me going, "Ooh, you're doing a lot with those bears."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little
Yeah.
worried.
Yeah.
He's like playing around with that bear on a chain. Gen and Dan witness a fight between aliens outside the window of the space station. Gen's like, "Oh, the little one's getting picked on," and Dan's like, "Don't you fucking dare." And then they see the aliens fall to Earth, specifically Hokkaido. Dan, the cutest he's ever been, who's just woken up, he's EP. He's like, "Everyone, launch." Hang on, it's just us here again. Lol. My mistake. They head to Earth, and Gen finds a boy called Bok with a bear cub. The boy gestures to a grave, and Gen surmises, that's the grave of the cub's mother. When Gen tells Dan about Bok, he's like, "Oh, damn, Bok. Been a while. I wonder if the other alien is Dogyu." Dan explains, the Dogyu is a hated being from Taurus who picks on Bok because he's such a nice guy.
Taurus people, alright, fellas.
This is delivered
Yeah.
in the way of like town gossip and not like the normal like ultra
It's
like
ridiculous.
alien
The tone is
encyclopedia.
so
Given
strange.
the relationship that Dan seems to have with the Bok, it does feel like, when you're a guy in space, it's just like the talk of the town.
Yeah.
You hear the
Like,
Dogyu?
I
Dan.
heard so and so sleeping with so and so.
Yeah. While
Father
the
Vulture
search
did
for
what?
Bok and yeah, yeah. While the search for Bok and Dogyu continues, people and animals start being killed. It's possible Dogyu has taken the form of a bear due to the frequency of bear attacks in Hokkaido. That seems to be what is being commented on in this episode.
I wonder if
Dan meets.
Saichi Sugimoto could handle it.
You just punch him.
Yeah.
And that would work. He'd punch the bear, and it would definitely probably
work.
Yeah. Dan meets Bok and gets the whole story on what happened. Dogyu mistook the cub's mother for Bok, and now Bok is looking after the cub. Bok's mother was also killed by Dogyu, and now Dogyu fears Bok will want revenge when he grows up. The main feature of this bit isn't any of this information. It's the fact that Dan is like, "Oh, Bok," and Bok looks up, and this little kid goes, "Oh, 7." I'm like, "Oh, they're friends."
Yeah, that's good.
They know each other. Villagers arrive and accuse Bok of being the alien. One big villager claims he saw Bok turn into a bear and kill cows. Gen and Dan fend off the villagers while Bok runs. The big villager finds him, though, and his eyes flash. He's Dogyu. Dogyu attempts to kill Bok and accidentally kills the bear cub that's with Bok in the process. The villagers and Gen and Dan show up in time to save Bok, but the villagers are nearly persuaded by Dogyu once again. Bok's tears shed for the bear make a flower bloom, and this gesture convinces the villagers that, alien or not, he couldn't be the killer. Dogyu's like, "Fuck this," and turns into a giant kaiju. Gen turns into Leo and the two fight. Disaster strikes. Dogyu manages to attack Leo's eyes and temporarily blinds him. Kazuo picks the black flowers that bloomed from his tears and he hurls them at Dogyu, hitting him in the eyes, blinding him too. The rest of the fight is sick. It consists of Leo and Dogyu trying to figure out where their enemy is, with Leo eventually getting the upper hand and destroying Dogyu. Gen offers Bok the opportunity to remain on Earth as his new home, but Bok declines, feeling the guilt of getting people killed. I have too many bad memories here, he says. It's goodbye then. Bok jokingly does Leo's transformation pose, and they all have a good laugh before he hits the shuach and flies away as a fucking stupid-looking model boy with smoke getting shot out of his feet. And then we get a final vision of Bok playing with the chained-up bear like it's normal and not fucked up.
Don't play with bears!
Don't play with bears.
I want to comment on one thing from the battle. Which is first of all, again, you already did a blindness training.
Yeah, you should be fine, mate.
But second, it was like kind of fucked up when like seemingly like Doggy was like taken out and falls on the ground, and then the propellers, the flowers in his eyes spin like propellers to lift him up so that Leo could do one last shot on him. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Crazier than the fish man just becoming a skeleton for no reason at the end of the last episode.
So yeah, we got a little bit of, character drama injected in here with Bok, because, he's got his whole stakes with his rivalry with Dogyu.
Yeah. But
this feels more fairy tale stuff than horror.
Yeah.
This isn't what's going on.
Now, I did have a thought, and perhaps this is because of where it's set to, but do you think there's an element of this that's like, because there's that bit where they turn on him, right?
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, it's all his fault. Is this like the stupid ignorant mob, but also like it plays a little weird considering where this is set? I don't know.
Yeah. Just a bit. Like I can't think of any mob without thinking of the Marucci episode. Which automatically charges anything, but doubly charges it when it's like on Hokkaido, I guess.
Yeah, I had that thought. But yeah, because like outside of that, it's like a pretty standard, like, oh, you gotta hear everyone's side of the story and figure out who's actually the wronged party, sort of like kids episode thing. But then there's some baggage because they decided to also make this the series of, oh, let's have some fun in Hokkaido episodes, I feel. So
I want to know what led to this behind the scenes.
The Hokkaido fun times?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird we just got like
someone wanted a vacation. I mean, like, I've read enough like actual film and TV production stuff where it's like, oh, part of the reason this got made or this took place here was because people with money wanted to go somewhere and like they could make it an excuse to do it while also getting paid. I could totally believe that people just wanted to go to Hokkaido for a bit. They're like, yeah, fuck it, we'll make some Ultraman.
Yeah. Red, you haven't spoken yet. Besides the summary.
It's alright.
Okay.
I quite like this. I think it's fun. I like Buck and Dan's energy.
Yeah.
I like
it's nice. It's nice to see Dan not be a fascist.
Yeah, Dan's just kind of chill. I mean, you say that, and then we get the dog you are a hated being from Taurus.
Well,
It's kind of,
I love
can't change the man.
I love how much they've doubled down on constellations being like countries.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Like Battlestar Galactica.
They're both countries and also like beings in a way. Like,
yeah.
I just had the worst thought, which was Space Italia. Anyway.
Yeah. That could be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be something.
Yeah.
I like the fight. I like the fight in this episode.
Cool
There's been, I don't know, there's been a few fights recently where I've been like, I'm checked out. But this one I liked a lot.
Remind me again, because this one's not sticking with me. What?
This is the one where they're both blind and they're like, they're wandering around trying to find each other in this big open field.
That's right, yeah.
And I thought that shit was cool. I don't, it's not like a deep appreciation for this episode or anything, but I had a good time watching it. I do think this is another episode that I'm like raising my eyebrows at their use of animals in the shows.
There's a lot of like, I didn't even know they have bear farms. And also, they're a little too comfortable with the bears this episode.
This is the first time watching this series where I'm like, I don't believe you filmed that yourself. There's a lot of stock footage of bears that I feel like they just got.
Yeah.
Because like,
I
felt like I noticed it in like the actual film quality of like, oh, this feels like it was a different camera or something. I don't know. There's some weird B-roll in this of bears that I was like, I don't think this belonged here.
I loved EP Dan.
Yeah, it was good.
I kind of
you want something we asked because this episode I like. That maybe ties into something I talked about last week. I think it's fun how you have with Dan and Gen, one guy who's maybe grizzled and with experience, and the more naive guy, and they do an investigation of some kind. As a pair.
Oh yeah. They got that buddy cop dynamic.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Sometimes.
Stray bear. Yeah. True. I don't have much else to say about this episode, to be honest.
I like the actors.
Is really silly.
Yeah, true. I like the actors for both the alien guests we have this time around. I think they both play their parts really well.
I think Dogyu is like, we get a lot of aliens just rock up and are a problem. All right, Dogyu is like a villain.
Yeah.
In a way that I think we should maybe have a little more in this show. I don't know, like maybe you don't have the runtime for it, but we saw in the Scorpion episode we had a villain. All right.
Yeah.
That was good. This episode, Dogyu, that's a bad guy. It's good.
I do also wish this for the aliens more.
I think because a lot of the times, the vibes we're getting off of Mac are like Border Patrol, because the aliens just kind of turn up and they're like, well, we got to get rid of them. Why? Because they're aliens. Is there no other reason? Do they have any villainous plans? Well, and then the aliens just randomly destroy shit, and it's like this, like every alien in the galaxy is trying to destroy shit on Earth.
Mac is absolutely running political ads that are like, this young boy's child was beheaded by the knife alien.
Yes.
One of the Sentai seasons I want to get to is Deca Ranger, because it's like basically this is the premise of the season, to my understanding.
I see.
Oh, that's interesting.
For reference, that's SPD in terms of Power Rangers.
Power Rangers SPD.
Yeah.
What does SPD stand for?
in Deca Ranger as Special Police Deca Ranger.
Nice. Power Rangers SPD. I'm looking up what it stands for in Power Rangers. Do they come up with something?
Sick police department.
Something like
Space Patrol Delta.
that. Yeah.
Well, who made this episode?
This one was also directed by Toru Toyama and then written this time by Bunpei Ai. Which, might be... I believe that's the...
You know what? That makes sense.
Yeah.
The Bunpei Ai connection makes sense.
I was about to say, kind of going with the nursery rhyme fairy tale-esque kind of energy this got.
Mm-hmm. They asked him for a horror story, and he produced a little fairy tale thing. And they're like, "Well, okay, I guess we got to film it."
I like how
Thanks,
we have multiple fairy tale guys. I think Ishido's the other one.
They made an entire season out of it.
Yeah.
They hired Bunpei Ai, and Ishido was like, "Well, that's my thing. I guess I gotta be right wing now. I gotta have a new thing. Jesus Christ."
See, the actual thing is they're like, "Hey, Bunpei Ai, we need this story. It takes place in Hokkaido. It's got all these bears about Ursa Minor constellation." Then he came back with like a TV report and a full book that's like, "I don't think bears are real."
I don't.
It's all just dudes in suits.
You ever seen a what is it? A sun bear? What's the one? Sun bears are the ones that look like people, right?
Oh, are they? I don't think.
Yeah,
I've
if you
heard
Google
this
sun
before.
bear and go to Google Images.
Oh, I don't like this. These are just little guys.
Uh-huh.
That's like a Hank Hill ass.
They're so skinny. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I have seen the thing where a shockingly large amount of cryptid sightings could probably be explained as, oh, that was a bear with like a condition.
Some fucking YouTube thumbnail of a guy pointing to a sun bear. It looks like he's in the soy jacket.
Can you please send a screenshot of this?
Yeah.
I now need to see this. He's just doing it. He's doing the point.
Thank you, Cam Whitnall, for telling us to beat the world's smallest bear.
Shout outs to red pandas. That's my opinion on bears.
They're not
There you
bears.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't actually think they're bears. That is
Mel,
extremely out of area.
the special effects director is the same.
Yeah.
Who does the suits?
Tetsuo Osawa for Tokyo.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to say about this episode?
No, go watch The Grizzly Man. Great documentary.
Let's go in Werner Herzog mode again.
He's always on my mind.
Always. All right. If we don't have anything else to say, we can always move on to episode 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is called Behold, Ultra Horror Series Saw a Goddess in the Far North.
Me when I see a beautiful woman in my hometown.
Yeah. Featuring alien North Satan.
When I'm an asshole.
And
Listen,
Nikkei, the Goddess of Victory.
I think...
what I have on my phone.
Yeah. For the record, I'm pretty sure both Red and I are further north than Brad.
Probably.
Me, definitely. Red, probably.
Britain is like weirdly north for how mild it is.
I was going to say, well, because you're Toronto, and I do know...
Well, I'm not in Toronto right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm further north than Toronto.
No, because I had this conversation with a lot of my coworkers when I'm over there, where because of how Toronto dips, I'm actually further north than a lot of those guys are.
Yeah. Like if I was in Toronto, I'd say it's more close, but because of where I am, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely more north than you.
Yeah.
Like if I look at Britain and like what's like most of Britain is north of the entirety of the United States.
You're further north.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because like it's not that cold here.
Also, because you got that ocean, which like
The Atlantic
Got that
currents.
ocean.
has an impact.
Yeah. So, Gen and a Mac officer called Kitayama investigate the arrival of a spaceship in Hokkaido. Big coincidence. Hokkaido again. Specifically at the Olympic cauldron for the 1972 Winter Olympics in Sapporo. The spaceship is here to pick up a woman in white, but oh no, North Satan appears and destroys the spaceship. Gen and Kitayama face off with North Satan, and Kitayama recognizes the woman in white as Nike, the goddess of victory, and I'm just like, oh yeah, the Greek goddess, that makes sense. Meanwhile, in my brain, it's just huge gacha women. Kitayama tries to keep Nike safe and gets owned by North Satan's giant needle attack. Kitayama winds up in hospital and Dan admonishes Gen for letting Nike escape. But Captain, Kitayama was injured. Also, Nike seems like a victim. Dan tells Gen she may be a victim, but wherever she goes, destruction will follow. You must find and apprehend her. Gen visits Kitayama in the hospital and we get his backstory on how he knows a goddess. On his way to a skiing tournament, he saw this woman being accosted by an alien and he defeated the alien using his super slalom powers. Not a joke, that's what really happened. And the woman told him she was Nike, the goddess of victory, and gave him a necklace with a symbol for Nike. She assured him then that he would win the tournament. And when he did, Kitayama says he is due for surgery soon, and they might have to amputate his leg. He wants nothing more than to see her again. Maybe then his surgery will go well, and he can ski again. Don't ski. Gen finds Nike at the Olympic cauldron, and at first she refuses to see Kitayama because she is an alien and could put Kitayama in danger. She reveals that she is an alien alpha, and the alpha visit humanity every 4 years and earned the nickname Nike. And I'm like, okay, this episode is about how aliens invented the Olympics, but specifically, the Winter Olympics. Which I don't think was the intention, but that is the only conclusion I can come to from the evidence provided is that they invented specifically the Winter Olympics.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, this is first ever non-racist alien intervention in human history story. Yeah, the Greeks got the Olympics from aliens. Gen persuades Nike to visit Kitayama, and their meeting is brief because North Satan appears to attack. Dan's like, all right, Gen, now, tell me exactly how many of my instructions have you ignored today? Gen defends himself, saying Kitayama had to see Nike again, and look, she's trying to give her life to save Kitayama right now. I can't stand back and watch. He turns into Leo, and he gets owned by the giant needles. North Satan leaves. Dan tells Gen, okay, the reason Kitayama succeeded against North Satan in the past is because of his super slalom powers. Gen trains by running a slalom in slow motion while explosions happen around him. Nike is at the Olympic cauldron again, vowing she won't endanger humanity anymore. North Satan appears and she's ready to die. Dan appears and is like, don't throw your life away. Gen appears, training complete, and turns into Leo. He does his super slalom moves as well as a bunch of backflips, and he defeats North Satan with an ace punch. He then offers to return Nike to her home planet now that she has no spaceship for a ride home. Later, Kitayama is recovered and patrolling with Gen once again. He sees a symbol for Nike and seems satisfied. The end.
And he's like, damn, I got 20 free pulls on my account.
You got 23 pulls on my account. Did either of you notice that Kitayama's casual fit in the flashback looks just like the old blue suit the Science Patrol used to wear?
No. But that's a good touch.
Yeah, that's fun.
I'm gonna pull this up, find this. In the meantime, your thoughts on this episode?
I can't believe this is this the first time an Ultra series has touched on the idea that the mythology of humanity and the gods was actually alien stuff?
No, we had the Bluestone of Baradi.
That one was
That's
also,
true.
but that one was also a fictional society.
That okay. Now, yes, that is a distinction because that one was fictional.
Yeah.
That's true.
I just can't believe we got it in this form.
Yeah,
What a weird.
I feel like we. It does feel like it took a while, all things considered.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, it is funny that it took the form of Greek mythology.
Uh-huh. It's yeah.
Yeah, well, like, also, too, like, I would have expected it to be a little bit more of, like, it's almost like a not important part, like, it's like background detail for who this, like, lady is a little bit, more than actually, like, being central to, like, what's going on here. Like, the fact that she is, like, you know...
Yes.
The goddess.
Now that you mention it, it is a little strange that this isn't the main plot of the episode.
Yeah. I kind of respect it. North Satan, ridiculous name. I love this design. If I recall, he has like a weird cape thing.
Yeah, the designs on like both the human size and kaiju size are like really different.
Yeah, they're crazy different to the point I was like, oh, this is a different alien.
This show is making me think like I need to actually put both designs in this order, which is something I probably should have done to begin with. As we know from Kingstrom.
Yeah, I do think it's worth the differentiation for some of them.
It does mean the sword is going to be so big.
No. I'm like in the image together. Like I'm not gonna cut them as separate.
Oh, okay. I see.
Ooh, that'll make things tricky. I think North Satan's really cool. I like him a
he's
lot.
cool. He's cool.
You got like the Geronimon like darts thing, but without like the weird racially fraught
racism?
Nature. Yeah, without it weird.
I think it's funny that Dan is like, oh, North Satan targets aliens, but evilly.
Unlike me, South Satan. Moriboshi Dan.
I'm more. Yeah, he's South Satan. Oh man. God, yeah, it's
They only call him North Satan because
ideology.
it's a Hokkaido episode, right? Like,
No,
presumably that's why they're calling it
that's ridiculous.
North Satan. Does that mean that the rest of Japan has the other Satans?
It probably.
Does this mean that, well, if we ever see a West Satan,
it looks like a tiger.
We'll know that they're being a little bit weird about China.
There you go.
True.
Here you go. They it happens. So yeah, this episode I mostly just like this one.
Yeah,
I
think it's my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think
it's a good Mac member of the meet. I said Mac member.
Mac member of the meet. Yep.
Mac member of the week.
That's what you said. That's what you said.
Fuck.
I don't let Brad get away with it, so I can't let you.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, this as far as Mac members of the week go, this one's a good one.
Philosophical question: is this a medical miracle or just like medicine?
Okay. Now this is okay.
Because it feels
so they're like
kind of unrelated.
They're like
technically he got healed by the doctors.
He got healed by the doctor, so I don't think we can call it a miracle.
Yeah.
Like narratively, it's tied to his seeing Nikkei, but like that's not how it actually worked. Well, probably.
And
like,
I think importantly to me is that it has little to do with North Satan.
Yeah.
In like
right, yeah, they
sense.
defeat. It's not that they defeat North Satan and he's healed. It's that he goes for surgery anyway, and like perhaps blessed by a goddess, but that's not the same thing. That's
it's like
luck.
it's like the Crazy Gone episode of like 7 where like Dan was going to go to the kid to give him strength.
True,
but that isn't like a medical miracle.
Can I say
it's not a medical miracle?
I do think it's extremely funny considering our podcast that of all the winter sport options it could have been, it was in fact skiing.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
He rocked up and he was like, I've got a severe leg injury. I want it healed so that I can go skiing. And I'm like, you know what'll happen again?
It's funny that he's like the one guy who's like, skiing, I got that.
This guy's fine. This guy's fine with skiing. Everyone else can't be trusted.
Next winter, I should go skiing. Just to see. Just to tempt fate.
Well, then we'll have to tell everyone that actually Brad doesn't really want a funeral because he feels weird about him.
What skiing anime do we put on Detour?
There's that
question. Of course there are.
What about that anime recently about Hokkaido girls?
Was there one?
There was one about Hokkaido. There was one about a guy meets a bunch of Hokkaido girls. There's a bunch of winter sports stuff involved.
I didn't even know about this one.
What is that? Hokkaido girls. Hokkaido gals are super adorable. Which seems like a manga that Mel would have issues with.
Yeah, I'm just like, this feels like
this is, I'm just like this seems like the perfect fraught suggestion for this prompt.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there actually a skiing anime?
I can't find
one. Skiing seems so like not okay. I googled skiing anime and I got people also ask, are there any British animes?
Yeah, I might go.
True. She went to Britain one time and it was a traumatizing backstory. That's what Britain's like. Met a bunch of girls who want to get an MBA and it's like, this sucks. I'm like, yes, of course it sucks. Leave.
See, I'm finding the much more reasonable thing, which is a lot of anime have an episode where they go skiing. Which,
Toradora has a skiing episode. Lots of skiing. Where were we? What were we talking about? We were talking about skiing.
Yeah. This guy is he's a fun guy of the week.
Mm-hmm. His slalom superpowers are ridiculous. Big fan.
This feels like the first time in a minute where... Well, I was going to say for the guest of the week, but, I mean, even in general, we don't often get, years ago flashback like this, mid-episode, I feel. Like, stylistically, it just feels a little different.
Yeah. It's often we have, also, it's definitely different because, Mac member of the week, but it's not often we get member of the defense force with a past backstory tied to an alien thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I posted the suit, by the way.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I can see it.
He's got the blue jacket.
It's got a turtleneck.
It's not. I don't think it's intentional, but I saw it and I was like, oh, he's dressed up like Ide on his off days.
Yeah, it's a bit like the blue suit as well, off the Mirror Man guys back when they were still in the Professor's basement.
Oh, that might be the one I'm actually thinking of. I might not be thinking about the SSSP.
I mean, I think the SSP does sometimes wear a suit instead of the orange jumpsuit.
Let me look up. Oh yes, they do. Yes, they do have the blue suit in OG Ultraman. They got this one.
Yeah.
That's a fucking okay. Yes, that does work. But yeah, maybe this fit is a little more like that one guy from Mirror Man that's always wearing the turtleneck.
True. Yeah.
I am this, as far as like training goes, I think this one is good because of how completely nonsensical it is. This is like a human being doing a running slalom
with explosions.
Yeah,
like a dog at Crufts. Like this is not the equivalent of skiing. I don't know where Dan got the explosions. Very silly.
Dan's just like, it's clearly obvious. You don't know that he only won because he had skiing powers.
Yeah. Now we're gonna train you by running.
It's also really ridiculous how compressed this like round 1 training, round 2 is like.
Yeah,
they crammed it in the last 5 minutes of the episode.
So quick. It's
like they were like, fuck, we put too much actual like character stuff in this, so we gotta really, really haul ass for the training.
It's this thing they wanted, right?
Yeah,
for the budget.
I think it was funny that they just take her away at the end of the episode. She doesn't see Kizuyama again. I thought that was interesting, considering like the circumstances that they left each other in the last time, with Kizuyama just yelling, "Don't go," and she's like, "Nah, I gotta."
Yeah. But maybe he's more chill with it when he actually like gets his surgery going on.
Yeah, he'll be all right. He'll be fine. I mean, she'll be back in 4 years for the Winter Olympics again.
Yeah.
Who made this episode?
This episode was, for the 3rd time in a row, directed by Toru Toyama, and then this is written by Shigemitsu Taguchi, who also did the Merman episode.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
I have a question I want to raise.
Mm-hmm.
Where was Toru Toyama born?
That is a good question that I don't know if we... If we know, I'll do research while you continue talking.
Yeah. For me, once again, special characters are the same. The goddess Nikkei Alien Alpha is played by Yasuko Agawa, and North Satan is designed by Kengo Kime for the kaiju size. Divided sources on whether it's Tetsuo Osawa or Yukimitsu Kano for the human size design.
Mm-hmm. Are your thoughts that is this the same guy that's like directed all of these episodes? Is that something that's happened, or?
Yeah, because Brad said it's all the same guy, right?
Yeah, all 3 of these episodes are the same guy.
Okay. It would be funny if he's just like a big fan of Hokkaido,
or if he's from there. That's why I wanted to know where he was born.
Mm-hmm.
God, Japanese Wikipedia articles are so long. I do not care about the details of Mac uranium.
Yeah, like they kind of just put like everything related to the show there.
It's ridiculous.
Like, hey, if you want to read about Ultraman Leo, the guy, you have to go to the Wikipedia page for the show.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. We might have to leave that one for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just very curious. I was just curious, that's all.
I'll do the research.
The research. I'm mostly just I like this episode.
Yeah,
I think it is good. I think the in terms of like the format and like stretching the format, I do like you said, it's very funny that they managed to just kind of like do a whole different episode of Ultraman and then go like, okay, now we do the Leo stuff. Now we do like, oh, you got to get your ass beat and then train a little and then come back and win again. I have to wonder what this next retool is going to be.
Yeah. Did any of you watch the next episode?
I wonder how... I wonder how obvious it will be. I wonder if it's something where it's like, if I watch the next episode after we record this, I'll immediately be like, oh, or if it's something
I did not watch the preview.
a little subtler. I don't know.
I've seen the next episode preview and I have an inkling.
I did not watch the next episode preview.
Okay, that's fun for me then.
Okay. Do we have anything more to say about this episode?
No, I think I'm good.
I cannot find any details about this guy at all. So, who can say?
Who can say?
Yeah, he doesn't have a Wikipedia page of his own. And
That's annoying.
on other online details from a first glance don't seem to have any info on him other than the fact that he worked on various Toku shows. So
Lamau.
Well, you know, that is where we're drawing the curtain on this episode.
believe
You at
he was
home,
born
you
as
can
Sapporo.
download. Yeah. You can download The Goddess of Victory, Nikkei, right now onto your phone.
I should hop back on.
Should you?
Listen, I've become an end game, post game content guy in Hawkeye Star Rail. I'm already too deep in the gacha.
It's funny
Oh, no.
having Brad like this, and meanwhile, Red and I you had the conversation on Blue Sky where you were like, I installed Blue Archive. Who knows how actually you like it?
All I did was I posted on Blue Sky as though I was inventing a guy. I was like, imagine a guy who downloads Blue Sky and leaves it on his phone as a test
Downloads Blue Sky.
Of willpower.
Yeah, downloads
and
Blue Sky.
and then you were like, not Blue Sky, Blue Archive.
What is the Sky button archive for the clouds?
What is the what in archive?
What is the Sky button archive for the clouds?
I see. The Sky is an archive for
Got
clouds.
that one from Jaden Smith.
Anyway, I posted about this, and Mel was immediately like, replied completely assuming that I had just downloaded Blue Archive, and I was like, you don't know that. I did do that.
I wonder how I knew.
Yeah. So that's just sitting on my phone. It's a threat. It's a threat to my existence. I don't know why I've left it there.
Yeah.
I should really delete it, but here we are.
For some
I
reason,
recommend not. It's really weird where I'm having a great time with Star Rail. I also feel really bad recommending anyone get into that game.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah.
But also, I have spent money, and I don't feel great about that fact, you know?
Oh, yeah. But anyway.
Hey kids, get into smoking. No.
You know what? I'm going to delete that from my phone right now. This is live. This is a live intervention.
Yeah.
Fuck them kids.
There we
Wait,
go.
not like that.
No, we're talking about Blue Archive. No.
I realize. Improper
Naturally,
terminology.
that's why I deleted that.
This is like that GGCC bit where CC was talking about, I don't like I like children a little bit, but like
I thought you were
not
talking
a lot.
about the F1 bit.
I like them. I like them like a power up in like a gacha game where I can and then Gigi says, you like kids in a gacha game, and CC's like, no, Gigi, you can't say that. please reword that.
That F1 clip where she's like, I know there's a lot of yaoi about the drivers, and Cece's like, Gigi, these are real.
Gigi,
these are real people.
Is it real? So yeah, it's like K-pop yaoi. Oh, so it's not real. You don't know that. You don't. Anyway.
I need to get back. I got into F1 for one race, and then life has prevented me from watching the next two races immediately after. I watched the highlight clips, but
yeah,
I'll be back on board this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're done talking about the episodes of Ultraman this week.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Which means we can talk about other stuff. Mel, do you have color timers?
I do. Episode 19, 2 minutes, 36 seconds.
Okay.
Ooh,
cutting it close.
Yeah. You know what isn't close?
Uh-oh.
Episode 20, 5 minutes, 12 seconds.
Damn.
I mean, yeah. I can see that one.
The funniest one this week. Episode 21, 58 seconds, followed by 2 minutes, 32 seconds, with a gap of a mere 2 minutes, 17 seconds between them.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Also, we didn't mention the counters last week. But like,
oh yeah, the counters went up.
Psycho last week went up. Medical America went up to 21, but also I realized after the end of the last episode last week, we can retroactively add one. Because we realized that Pagos, the rainbow egg,
is the original Medical Miracle.
Yeah, the original one.
The grandfather.
So now it's at 22. And if I remember any from any previous seasons before Return of Ultraman, maybe I'll add them. But that depends unless I'm remembering them.
Well, do we have any emails?
We do. Da-da-da. We got 2.
Shoot.
First one's from Tep. I'm sure this subject line is not a surprise. danwhip.png.
Nice. I see. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to save this image somehow. Well, whatever. Anyway, Hell Ultra Q, do you think you finally had an Ultra Horror series that would stay did you think you finally had an Ultra Horror series that would stay horror themed?
No. Never.
They need to stop.
I think they stop after this season. I think this is just a thing that stays in the 70s.
Well, they stopped a lot of things after this season.
Oh, yeah.
Small.
Well, it would be funny if it was also in 80.
You know what? The new Ultraman should be a horror season. It should be horror. It should just be a horror themed season.
That would be cool.
It'd be cool if it's a vampire themed Ultraman. That'd be cool.
The Ultraman is a vampire.
Yeah.
Ultraman
They did that for Kamen Rider.
Nosferatu. That'd be fun.
Ooh, which Kamen Rider is that?
Kiva by Inoue.
Oh, well, yes.
It's a mad goofy. It's a mad stupid season.
They should make a
Of course it is.
They should make a Ultraman episode based on the Hide Behind.
The Hide Behind?
Yes, this is a creature that lumberjacks invented to fuck with new lumberjacks in the old days of Wisconsin lumber industry. It's a cryptid that hides behind trees and stalks its prey.
I see.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
There's a whole like sub cryptid like group of these called fearsome critters, which are very funny. There's also a snake that bites its own tail and then rolls around called the hoop snake.
We need to get these guys in Yokai Watch.
You remember when J.K. Rowling pissed everyone off by doing like all the rest of the world wizarding schools?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She included the Hide Behind.
Oh.
In something.
Yeah. What was it, like Mahot Sky was the name of the school or whatever?
In Japan it was like Magic Place, but translated just completely literally.
I'm also a big fan of the Axe Handle Hound.
The Axe Hound. Yeah, the Axe Handle Hound. Okay, let me look this up.
I posted in the. It's just a dog and its face looks like an axe.
This is just like the fucking axe beaks from D&D.
I think that's where they got it from.
I do think it's
Remember,
funny.
made by Wisconsin people.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're in the land of Dungeons and Dragons. How's that feel?
I almost went down to the old TSR office on one of my trips down to a fighting game tournament, and they weren't fucking open despite on Google saying they were open. And then I learned later on that the person that inherited that part of the business is maybe the bad one.
I see.
So maybe it's a good thing I did stop it anyways.
Maho Tokoro is what she called it.
This map is really stupid.
Are you currently looking at the Harry Potter?
all of the Soviet Union, except for Moldova, is in the same magic school. Central and Eastern Europe.
Why is Moldova excluded? Is it because she likes their Eurovision entries? Maybe
she's just lumped in with the Eastern European ones.
Oh, I see.
For some reason, India being in the same school as like the entire Islamic world is pretty wild. Like I know Pakistan, but also like all of South Asia. That's crazy. And also French Guyana specifically still goes to the French school. She's been bad. She's been a problem. Yeah, well, there's lots of problems with her. Anyway,
this email immediately derailed.
The standout, of course, is the training scene with the whip. Of course, Dan with the whip and the corresponding Gan are some of the most iconic images from Leo, at least for some Leo heads on Tumblr. I will, of course, put the screenshots in the chat.
Are we getting art? Are we getting
no, just screenshots.
Look at. Okay. Yes, this shot of the whip going across Dan's face. I was like, this does go hard a little.
I think one of the things that carries Leo for me, even through the through the multiple retools, that Dan and Gan especially, but even Momoko and the kids are such strong characters. Especially on a rewatch, even weaker episodes have like character moments I appreciate. Lavo Dan was fully willing to just let Bach die until he happened to fall on Earth. This is an Ultraman Defender of the Week, and self-consciously so to a degree. One of my favorite two-parters is in this show, of course. One of my favorite two-parters is in this show. Perhaps dubious merit from a storytelling perspective, but with peak murderous Ultraman content, which we will get to at some point. No spoilers.
That's the good shit.
Anyway,
I say good. Good is in quotes.
Yeah. Well, that's good and that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this upcoming week, we get to the genuinely controversial Leo retools, which I think are an essential part of the experience of the show. Okay, that's interesting. Thanks for supporting my daily idea to be an alien seductress. Which Ultra guy would the easiest to target to start with?
Well, Well, Hokkaido is lonely. I think Go, as we've demonstrated from his encounter with the evil child, is not ready for mind games, really. So I think Go is a prime subject.
Restate the question just to make sure I have it right.
Last week there was emailed in saying with like an idea for being like a seductress Ultraman villain, but doesn't seem like it would work, and I was supportive of this with my evidence being that Milady de Winter's seduction, famously from the Three Musketeers, is not actually a sexy seduction. She figures out that the guy that her prison warden is a Puritan, and she starts pretending to be a Protestant oppressed by her brother, and he's like, she's so virtuous and falls in love with her.
I see.
So we're figuring out prime targets for seductress action against Ultraman.
Yeah.
I've gone with Go.
I feel like Go is the slam dunk.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Hayata doesn't know what human connection is.
No, he's not a person.
Not a person.
June would get mad
when Ultraman. June, yeah. I think Hokuto would like. I don't know. He's too divorced, maybe.
I don't know if you could like seduce him if he himself is already coming up with his own fake backstory that week.
Oh yes, he's like coming up with fake backstories to counter the
Yeah, Hokuto is like the guy in that tweet who's like, X person invented up their fake backstory to make people feel bad.
Gen is too in love with Momoko. despite no evidence that he just kind of does, just by momentum of being in the show with another woman. But he is too in love with her to be seduced. Maybe. I think Go is the one.
Yeah.
Is there more to that email?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you for your email.
Thank you for your email.
We got a second one from Kat. Welcome back. Hiya. Summer ghost stories do seem to be cultural Japanese thing more frequently than any other season. You can see this a lot in Showa. Toku early Kamen Rider has a fair few summer horror series style stretches.
You know what I bet is better at the horror series than Ultraman? Early Kamen Rider.
A bit ironic, given
like
Ultra Q, but yeah.
Yeah, I bet Showa Kamen Rider has it like that. Like it already kind of does in its regular episodes. Anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of which, these episodes remind me of Kamen Rider X from 1974, a Rocky production which kept seemingly running out of ideas and falling back on vampires every other week, giving other random monsters vampiric powers. Even one general generally ends up needing the hero's blood to live on, and one of my favorite bits of Showa Rider homoeroticism. Where I'm going with this is the thought, is Leo the Kamen Rider X of Ultraman is now stuck in my head, and I'm not sure which show that's a scary comparison to draw. It is funny that they're contemporaneous, too.
I
see.
Did some quick Googling, and I learned something interesting. Apparently there is a Buddhist festival of the dead called Oban that is held in mid-August when temperatures are high, because it's believed that when it's hot and humid out, that is the time when the lands of the living and the dead are thinnest, and spirits are able to temporarily cross over. And that's probably why, I guess, haunted houses are actually... Like, this is the season for haunted houses in Japan, apparently, too.
This festival is mentioned in one of these episodes.
Interesting.
Oh.
When I referred to the Bon Festival, it is Obon or just Bon.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess it's just like they have St. Howell's Eve in August, basically. Cultural equivalent.
On Obon, for the British company abbreviated Obon, see One Britain, One Nation. No thank you.
Okay.
That sounds terrifying. Anyway.
Oh, also, this is fascinating. Apparently, Japan's haunted house industry takes advantage of the fact that it is hot as fuck outside to really crank up the air conditioning and provide couples with a reason to go somewhere cool. That's so smart!
Oh. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I felt a chill. Was that a ghost? No, it's just the AC's kind
Oh, thank fuck.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Anyway, this email.
Anyway, hope you enjoyed Dune Messiah. Dune Messiah.
Yep, Dune Messiah.
It's been a long recording. Absolutely my favorite book in the series. Just a short, sweet, and insane little coda to really drive in. There's no clean empire. The entire intergalactic war happens off screen, and we just get to hear poetry about it and excerpts from in-universe history books. 100% my shit. Also, Scytale is there, my beloved.
Yeah.
I worry I scarcely mentioned Ultraman in this email, but that just kind of reflects the content for that episode. Also, they thank Tep for relentlessly representing the toxic Leo Yaoi agenda, because someone has to. So I'm glad now people on the email are talking to each other.
Yeah,
using us as a conduit.
I say that as if I don't know these two people already know each other.
I see.
So you know.
All right. Well, thank you for your email.
Yeah, thank you for your email. I was just thinking the other day, I have no sense of what our audience is or looks like at this point. And I'm kind of happy about that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think I have some people who I just happen to personally know who are in our audience.
Yeah.
Some of which I got to know because they're in the audience, not the other way around. But yeah, I am curious, what do I'm also like, to what degree I'm like only getting like a small vertical slice of our audience that I just happen to personally know, versus like what is the taste of the broader audience that I don't know, like our YouTube audience is apparently like 100 people now as of this week. So
there's someone listening right now that has never interacted with us before, and they know who they are.
I mean, it's like most of them.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You know what? Write me an email right now. Ultra Q. Ask a question. Do something.
Yeah.
We command you.
Uses the voice.
Uses the voice. Well, thank you for your emails.
Thank you.
That is going to be the podcast this week. So, if you want to follow us online, you can do so on Twitter at @ultra_QUEUE or on Blue Sky at @ultraQUEUE. No underscores on Blue Sky. I am also on Blue Sky. I'm at Red November. That's about covers my stuff. Mel.
You can follow me at Dear Crowns on Twitter and Blue Sky. We have an email, ultrapod@gmail.com. Do what Brad told you. We also have the coffee for subtitling stuff, UltraQ Fund, though also, as I mentioned in the previous week, stuff's going on in the background, which I might reveal at some point. Stuff with various degrees of involvement for me.
Yes. Brad.
Yeah, you can find me at BeInvoked. That's BE_INVOKED on Twitter and without the underscore on Blue Sky. Also on YouTube. Nimmy Nightmare is playing Elden Ring, and I'm like, it'd be really embarrassing if she beat Elden Ring before I did.
I saw this and I thought of you.
Like I should finish that.
I'm hoping
before someone who started literally years after I did, completes their playthrough.
I'm hoping that once my school is done, we can buckle down on Abyss too.
Oh yeah, we got Abyss yet.
Yeah, we have to.
She had her third stream yesterday for Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It's like third in 3 days straight.
I know. I watched all of them. I was there.
That's time you could have spent playing Elden Ring.
But why play video games when can watch them online? Why have opinion when streamer give me opinion?
Streamer give me opinion? Wow, that sounds easy.
Yeah. You know what? I bet there's someone listening to this right now who's never watched a lick of Ultraman.
Oh yeah, there's definitely people who just I can think of at least 2 people in our audience who I like, or I know who are like, oh yeah, I don't watch the shows, I just listen to it.
Yeah,
good thing we don't talk about it then.
That's true. But also too, I highly encourage you 2 people who I do not. Do I know these people?
One of them you don't. One of them you might be mutuals with because they're in the normal mapping circle of people.
Oh, okay. I highly encourage you 2 people to parrot our opinions like they're your own when talking to other Ultraman fans and be really obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be really insistent that you have definitely seen the shows.
Yes! And for good measure, read the TV tropes page just to, like, really buckle down.
It would be really funny if, like, we do just create, like, a segment of Ultraman fans who would just have our opinions.
Here's the thing. There should be a segment of Ultraman fans who have our opinions. It's weird there isn't.
Is it bad
it's fucking bizarre.
Is it bad if my response to that is we might be too annoying?
No. Of course we're too annoying.
Yeah.
No, we have audience at least.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Honestly, same. I'd rather be annoying than not be true to myself.
They'd follow us.
I'd rather be annoying and right. Well, that is the podcast this week. We're clearly done.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone. We will see you next week for 3 more episodes of Ultraman Leo.
The Big 99.
Goodbye, everyone.
The Big 99.
Ultraman 99 dropping.
Ultraman 99. Is that a show?
I don't think so. It's like,
you know what? I don't even think there's a season that airs in 99.
It's the Ultraman Battle Royale.
That's what I was going for. Yeah. I'm gonna think about the fact I said Herbo into a microphone for the next week. I hope you all have a good one.
Yeah, that should probably be the episode title.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.